also the majority whip. At this point, when the House is seeking to raise quorum, this is the point that the leadership or the whip also whips the members who have not made their way into the chambers to get to the chamber so that that quorum can be raised. And therefore we expect that more members will be able to get into the chambers. The Honorable Senator for Migori County, Eddie Okech, also has another statement that he'll be seeking from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget. This is with regards to the settlement of pending bills by the County Executive of Migori County Government. That is the entrance of the Senate chambers. That is the Deputy Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Kathuri Murungi, has made his way. Senator
Honorable
Eddie.
Senators, I'm told we do have quorum now, so we'll start the day's business. Clerk, you may proceed to call the first order.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Senator for Makueni, kindly take your seat. Now, Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon, visiting students and teachers from Iwagi Comprehensive School and Karaguririo Comprehensive School, Nyeri County. The delegation comprises of 89 students and 12 teachers who are undertaking a study tour to the Senate at the invitation of the Senator for Nyeri County, Senator Wamatinga Wahome MP. Honorable Senators, on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome to them and wish them all the best during their visits. Also, I'd wish to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon, 7 young men and women who are undertaking an internship program in the Senate. Honorable Senators, the objective of this program is to provide young people with first-hand experience in the legislative processes and to expose them to the intricate world of public policy and public service. I request each intern to stand when called out so that they may be acknowledged in the usual Senate tradition. Ms. Cynthia Waithera Geshimu, Mr. Hussein Halkano Huka, Ms. Caroline Nikirote, Mr. Brian Kerry Mayodi, Mr. Enoch Kibet Chelal, Ms. Gloria Rose Anyango, Ms. Emily Murabula. On behalf of the Senate and my own behalf, I wish them well during the program and in their future endeavors. I will ask the Deputy Speaker under 1 minute to welcome the delegation, to welcome the interns to the Senate, and as Senator Fanyeri takes his seat, immediately the Deputy Speaker is done, you can, under 1 minute, extend a word of welcome to the delegation from Nyeri County, in that order.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to take this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to really welcome our visitors who are in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon, Mr. Speaker. The 7 young men and women who are taking an internship program in the Senate, I really want to appreciate that they have also seen it wise to come to the Senate to get more experience. And I really request them also to move to all departments of the Senate, so they can be able to understand what happens to the Senate. We have so many departments which you can be able to move and learn. And also, when you are around, keep yourself with a lot of discipline. Hold yourself with a lot of honesty, and whatever you do it nicely. You learn a lot in the future. If you are supervisor, for example, if your supervisor is happy with you in the report that they will do for you, then in the future you become a good candidate even to come back and work in the Senate. So I wish you well as you undertake your internship program, and all the best.
Give me the mic. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity to welcome students from Ihuagi Primary School in Nyeri County, Madera Sub-County, and Karagorerio School in Mukurweini. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is in such a excursion, it's in such a outings and learning expeditions that kids get inspired. I do want to take this opportunity to welcome to the Senate. This is the upper house that deliberates and regulates and oversees the functionalities of the county government. Indeed, I hope that your visit today will be an inspiration so that in the future you would want to join us as a Senate. And I want to tell you, it is your determination and hard work and sheer obedience that makes you become what you want to be. In this house, we are 67 senators from all the 47 counties, and we live like brothers and sisters, ensuring that we promote devolution, because the future of this country depends on successful devolution. Once more, welcome to the Senate. Asante.
Next order.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
The Senate Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, the 6th March 2025. The Environmental Management and Coordination Control Substances Regulations, Legal Notice number 53 of 2025. Reports of the Auditor General on financial statements of Nyeri County for the year ended 30th June 2024. County Executive of Nyeri, County Assembly of Nyeri, County Revenue Fund, County Government of Nyeri, Receiver of Revenue, County Government of Nyeri, Nyeri Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Members, Scheme Fund, Nyeri County Executive Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Staff, Nyeri County Elimu Fund, Nyeri County Enterprise Development Fund, Nyeri County Climate Change Fund, Dekut Enterprises Company, County Government of Nyeri, Nyeri County Health Services, Nyeri County Referral Hospital, Karatina Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Nyeri, Odoya Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Nyeri, Mount Kenya Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Nyeri, Mathira Water and Sanitation Water Limited Company, County Government of Nyeri, Nyeri Water and Sanitation Company Limited, County Government of Nyeri, Tetu Abadaya Water and Sanitation Company Limited, County Government of Nyeri, Odhaya Mukurweini Water and Sanitation Private Limited Company, County Government of Nyeri, Narumor Water Sanitation and Company Limited, County Government of Nyeri. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Embu County for the year ended 30th June 2024, County Executive of Embu, County Assembly of Embu, County Revenue Fund, County Government of Embu, Receiver of Revenue, Revenue Statements, County Government of Embu, Embu County Executive Car Loan and Mortgage Committee Members, Scheme Fund, County Assembly of Embu Car Loan and Mortgage, Staff, Scheme Fund, Embu County Education Support Fund, Embu County Emergency Fund, Embu County Youth Trust Fund, Embu County Climate Change Fund, Embu Municipality Fund, Embu Water and Sanitation Company Limited, County Government of Embu, Embu Water and Sanitation Company Limited, County Government of Embu, Gagaka Water and Sanitation Company Limited, County Government of Embu, Ngandori Water and Sanitation Company Limited, PLC, County Government of Embu. Kieni Water and Sewerage Company Limited, County Government of Embu. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statement of Tana River County for the year ended 30th June 2024. County Government of Tana River, County Executive of Tana River, County Assembly of Tana River, County Revenue Fund, County Government of Tana River, Receive of Revenue, Revenue Statements, County Government of Tana River, County Assembly of Tana River Car Loan and Mortgage Fund, Tana River County Staff Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund, Tana River County Emergency Fund, Tana River County Ward Bursary Fund, Tana River County Inuka Fund, County Government of Tana River Disaster Risk Management Fund, Tana River County Climate Change Fund, Municipality of Hola, County Government of Tana River Water and Sanitation Company Limited. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Garissa County for the year ended 30th June 2024, County Government of Garissa, County Executive of Garissa, County Assembly of Garissa, County Revenue Fund, County Government of Garissa, Receive of Revenue, Revenue Statements, County Government of Garissa, Embu County Executive Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme, Committees Members Scheme Fund, Garissa County Emergency Fund, Garissa Revolving Fund, Garissa County Scholarship Fund, Garissa County Climate Change Fund, Municipality of Dadaab, County Government of Garissa, Municipality of Garissa, County Government of Garissa, Municipality of Masalani, County Government of Garissa, Garissa County Level 4 Teaching and Referral Hospital, County Government of Garissa, Ijara Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Garissa, Bura Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Garissa, Balambala County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Garissa, Dadaab Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Garissa, Iftin Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Garissa, Modogashe Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Garissa, Hulago Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Garissa, Garissa Water and Sewerage Company Limited. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Baringo County for the year ended 30th June 2024, Baringo County Climate Change Fund and Baringo County Climate Change Fund. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statement of Kakamega County for the year ended 30th June 2024, County Executive of Kakamega, County Assembly of Kakamega, County Revenue Fund, County Government of Kakamega, Receive of Revenue, Revenue Statement, County Government of Kakamega, Kakamega County Assembly Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund, Kakamega County Education Fund, Kakamega County Emergency Fund, Kakamega County Alcoholic Drinks and Drinks Control Fund, Kakamega County Small Scale Trade Development Fund, Kakamega County Agricultural Input Fund, Kakamega County Microfinance Corporation, Kakamega County Dairy Development Corporation, Kakamega County Investment and Development Agency, Kakamega County Climate Change Fund, Kakamega County Maternal Child Health and Family Planning Fund, Kakamega County Health Services Fund for the 14 months, Kakamega Municipality, Mumias Municipality, Kakamega County Water and Sanitation Company Limited, Kakamega County Rural Water and Sanitation Company Limited. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of West Pokot County for the year ended 30th June 2024. County Executive of West Pokot, County Assembly of West Pokot, County Revenue Fund, County Government of West Pokot, Receive of Revenue, Revenue Statements, County Government of West Pokot County Assembly Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund, Members Fund, West Pokot County Assembly Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund, West Pokot County Assembly Staff Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund, West Pokot County Bursary Education Development and Infrastructure Fund, West Pokot County Cooperative Development Fund, West Pokot County Climate Change Fund, Kapenguria Municipality Board, County Government of West Pokot, Chepareria Municipality, County Government of West Pokot, Kapenguria County Referral Level 4 Hospital, County Government of West Pokot, Chepareria Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, Referral Level 4 Hospital, County Government of West Pokot, Sigor Sub-County Referral Level 4 Hospital, County Government of West Pokot, Kapenguria Water and Sanitation Services Company Limited, County Government of West Pokot. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of West Pokot County Climate Change Fund for the year ended 30th June 2023. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Trans Nzoia County for the year ended 30th June 2024. County Executive of Trans Nzoia, County Assembly of Trans Nzoia, County Revenue Fund, County Government of Trans Nzoia, Receive of Revenue, Revenue Statements, Trans Nzoia County Executive Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund, County Public Service Board, County Elimu Bursary Fund, County Nawiri Fund. County Youth and Women Development Fund, County Climate Change Fund for the 14 months, Municipality of Kitale County Government of Trans Nzoia, Kitale County Referral Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Trans Nzoia, Trans Nzoia County Assembly, Members and Staff Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Nyandarua County for the year ended 30th June 2024. County Executive of Nyandarua, County Assembly of Nyandarua, County Revenue Fund, County Government of Nyandarua, Receive of Revenue, County Government of Nyandarua, Nyandarua County Executive, State and Public, Officers Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund, Nyandarua County Emergency Fund, Nyandarua County Bursary Fund, Nyandarua County Assembly Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund staff, Nyandarua County Climate Change Fund, Olkalau Municipality, County Government of Nyandarua, Engineer Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Nyandarua, Olkalau Water and Sanitation Company Limited, County Government of Nyandarua, Nyandarua Water and Sanitation Company Limited, County Government of Nyandarua. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the County of Uasin Gishu for the year ended 30th June 2024, County Executive of Uasin Gishu, County Assembly of Uasin Gishu, County Revenue Fund, County Government of Uasin Gishu, Receive of Revenue Fund, County Government of Uasin Gishu, Uasin Gishu County Assembly Mortgage and Car Loan Scheme Fund, Uasin Gishu County Staff Mortgage and Car Loan Scheme Fund, Uasin Gishu County Education Revolving Fund, Uasin Gishu County Inua Biashara Fund, Uasin Gishu County Government Emergency Fund, Uasin Gishu County Alcoholic Drinks Control Fund, Uasin Gishu County Cooperative Enterprise Development Fund, Uasin Gishu County Bursary and Skills Development Fund, Uasin Gishu County Climate Change Fund, Municipality of Eldoret, County Government of Uasin Gishu, was Eldoret Water and Sanitation Company Limited, County Government of Uasin Gishu. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County of Kitui for the year ended 30th June 2024. County Executive of Kitui, County Assembly of Kitui, County Revenue Fund, County Government of Kitui, Receive of Revenue, County Government of Kitui, Kitui Assembly Car and Mortgage Scheme Fund, members, Kitui County Assembly Service Board, Employees Car and Mortgage Fund Schemes, Kitui County Empowerment Fund, Kitui County Textile Center, Kitui County Referral Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kitui, Kueso Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kisui, Githuka Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kitui, Katulani Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kitui, Migwani Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kitui, Siekuru Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kitui, Nu Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kitui, Mutumo Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kitui, Kayangi Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kitui, Mwingi Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kitui, Zombe Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Kitui, Igaga Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Kitui, Mutitu Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Kitui, Kawi Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Kitui, Kitui Water and Sanitation Company, Kiambere Water and Sanitation Company Limited. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statement of Nandi County for the year ended 30th June 2024. County Executive of Nandi, County Assembly of Nandi, County Revenue Fund, County Government of Nandi, Receiver of Revenue, Revenue Statements, County Government of Nandi, Nandi County Executive Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund, Nandi County Assembly Scheme Fund, Nandi County Emergency Fund, Nandi County Education Fund, Nandi County Facilities Improvement Fund, Nandi County Alcoholic Drinks Control Fund, Nandi County Climate Change Fund, Kapsabet Municipality, County Government of Nandi, Kapsabet County Referral Hospital, County Government of Nandi, Nandi Hills Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Nandi, Metieti Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Nandi, Kapsabet Nandi Water and Sanitation Company Limited. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statement of Narok County for the year ended 30th June 2024, County Executive of Narok, County Assembly of Narok, County Revenue Fund, County Government of Narok, Receiver of Revenue, County Government of Narok, Narok County Assembly, Car Loan, Grants and Mortgage Scheme Fund, Narok County Bursary Management Fund, Narok County Alcoholic Drinks and Regulation and Control Fund, Narok County Referral Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Narok, Narok Water and Sewerage Services Company Limited. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Kisii County for the year ended 30th June 2024. County Executive of Kisii, County Assembly of Kisii, Receiver of Revenue, County Government of Kisii, County Revenue Fund, County Government of Kisii, Kisii County Emergency Fund, Kisii County Loans and Mortgages Fund, Kisii County Assembly Members Loan and Mortgage Fund, Kisii County Alcoholic Drinks Control Fund, Kisii County Veterinary Services Development Fund, Kisii County Bursary Fund, Kisii County COVID-19 Emergency Fund, Kisii Demonstration Farm Fund, Kisii County Health Facilities Improvement Fund, Kisii County Climate Change Fund, Kisii Municipality County Government of Kisii, Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital, Gusii Water and Sanitation Company Limited. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Mandera County for the year ended 30th June 2024, County Executive of Mandera, County Assembly of Mandera, County Revenue Fund, County Government of Mandera, Receiver of Revenue, County Government of Mandera, Mandera County Education Bursary Fund, Mandera County Climate Change Fund, Mandera Municipality, Elwak Municipality, Mandera County Referral Hospital, County Government of Mandera, Takaba Sub-County Referral Hospital, County Government of Mandera, Lafi Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Mandera, Ramu Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Mandera, Kutulo Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Mandera, Banisa Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Mandera. Elwak Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Mandera, Mandera Water and Sewerage Company Limited, County Government of Mandera, Elwak Water and Sanitation Company Limited, County Government of Mandera. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Turkana County for the year ended 30th June 2024, County Executive of Turkana, County Assembly of Turkana, County Revenue Fund, County Government of Turkana, Receiver of Revenue, County Government of Turkana, Turkana County Assembly, Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Members, Scheme Fund, Turkana County Executive, State and Public Officers Car Loan and Mortgage Fund, Turkana County Assembly, Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund staff, Turkana County Youth Enterprise Fund, Turkana Youth Emergency Fund, Turkana County Biashara Fund, Turkana County Cooperative Enterprise Development Fund, Turkana County Youth and Women Empowerment Fund, Turkana County Education and Skills Fund, Turkana County COVID-19 Emergency Response Fund, Turkana County Climate Change Fund, Municipality of Lodwar, Kakuma Kalobei Municipality, Lodwar County Referral Hospital, County Government of Turkana, Lopiding Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Turkana, Lokitang Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Turkana, Lodwar Water and Sanitation Company Limited, Turkana Water Services Fund. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the County of Meru for the year ended 30th June 2024, County Executive of Meru, County Assembly of Meru, County Revenue Fund, County Government of Meru, Receiver of Revenue, Revenue Statements, County Government of Meru, Meru County Revenue Fund, Meru Staff Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund, Meru County Executive Staff Housing Fund, County Assembly of Meru members, County Assembly of Meru members for members Car Loan and Housing Scheme Fund, Meru County Microfinance Corporation, Meru County Alcoholic Drinks Control Board, Meru County Investment Corporation, Meru Youth Services Fund, Meru County Climate Change Fund, Meru Water and Sewerage Services Company Limited, Meru County Rural Water and Sanitation Company Limited. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Mombasa County for the year ended 30th June 2024, County Executive, County Assembly of Mombasa, County Revenue Fund, County Government of Mombasa, Receiver of Revenue, County Government of Mombasa, Mombasa County Assembly, Car Loan and Mortgage Fund, Mombasa County Elimu Scheme, Mombasa County Alcoholic Drinks Control Fund, Mombasa Investment Corporation, Mombasa County Consolidated Revolving Fund, Mombasa Water Supply and Sanitation Company Limited. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the County of Samburu for the year ended 30th June 2024, County Government, County Executive of Samburu, County Assembly of Samburu, County Revenue Fund, County Government of Samburu, Receiver of Revenue, Revenue Statement, County Government of Samburu, Samburu County Executive Staff Mortgage Members Scheme Fund, Samburu County Assembly Car Loan and Mortgage Fund, Samburu County Communities Conservancies Fund, Samburu County Bursary Fund, Samburu County Youth and Women Enterprise Fund, Samburu County Persons Living with Disability Fund, Samburu County Persons Living with Disability Fund, Samburu County Financing Locally Led Climate Action Fund, Samburu County Teaching and Referral Hospital, County Government of Samburu, Samburu Water and Sanitation Company Limited. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Samburu County Financing Locally Led Climate Action Program for year ended 30th June 2023. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Nyamira County for the year ended 30th June 2024, Nyamira County Referral Hospital, County Government of Nyamira, Masaba District Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Nyamira, Manga Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Nyamira. I beg to lay.
Before I allow the clerk to call the next order, Honorable Senators, allow me to make this communication. Senator for Makueni and Kitui County. I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon of visiting students and teachers from Bukuria. I hope Senator Eddy have pronounced that right. Bukuria School and Junior Academy, Migori County. The delegation comprises of 50 students and 6 teachers who are undertaking a study tour to the Senate. Honorable Senators, on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome to the delegation and wish them all the best during their visit. I will allow the Senator for Migori County under 1 minute, Senator, to extend a word of welcome.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you. This is a very special group, definitely, Mr. Speaker. I know you're stressed under 1 minute. I'm going to keep it under 1 minute to welcome them to the Senate. But, Mr. Speaker, this is a group that you should meet because they are from Keancha, actually, in Kuria West constituency. And some of the most marginalized communities that we have in this country, and I'm very proud to see them here today because I started my journey also in the same area in a place called Kiburanga Primary in Kuria as an adopted young man by the Kuria community, and today I'm here in the Senate courtesy of the journey that we have traveled. Sasa nawakaribisha, if you allow me, Mr. Speaker, nawakaribisha kwamba mkue katika hii Senate kwa usawa, na siku moja pia nyinyi huenda mkawa pia maseneta na president wa hii country. Asante sana.
Senator Eddy, I do want to rule out of order in front of your constituents. I'll allow you to get away with that. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Statements pursuant to Standing Order 52-1. Honorable Senator Hezena.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise pursuant to the Standing Order 52-1 to make a statement on a matter of general topical concern, namely the state of insecurity in Samburu County. Mr. Speaker, sir, on Thursday, 27th of February 2025, along the Maral-Baragoi Road, a public service vehicle was ambushed by armed criminals, resulting in the tragic loss of 2 lives and serious injuries to several others. I strongly condemn this cowardly act and extend my deepest condolences to the families of the victims. I also wish a swift recovery to those who sustained injuries in the attack. Mr. Speaker, sir, this attack is yet another painful reminder of the persistent insecurity that continues to plague the Samburu County, particularly in Baragoi and its surrounding areas. For years, the people of Samburu have lived in fear, subjected to banditry, highway attacks, and cattle rustling that has threatened their peace, security, and economic well-being. It is unacceptable that in 2025, Kenyans are still losing their lives to armed criminals while simply going about their daily activities. Mr. Speaker, sir, even more concerning is that this particular road has remained a dangerous hotspot despite repeated calls for enhanced security measures in the region. The failure to address this long-standing issue effectively has emboldened criminals, leaving innocent citizens vulnerable. This state of affairs should not be allowed to continue. Mr. Speaker, sir, the people of Samburu deserve peace and the right to move freely without the constant fear of ambushes and killings. We must not normalize such attacks. The time to act is now. Our people cannot continue to suffer in silence while criminals operate with impunity. I reaffirm my commitment to advocating for the security and well-being of the people of Samburu and will continue to engage relevant authorities to ensure lasting solutions are implemented. Mr. Speaker, sir, I therefore call upon the Ministry for Interior and National Administration, along with all relevant security agencies, to take immediate and decisive action to restore peace and stability in the region. Specifically, I urge the government to 1, deploy additional security personnel along the Maral-Baragoi Road to ensure safety of travelers and residents. 2, to strengthen intelligence operations to preempt and neutralize criminal elements before they strike. Thirdly, to hold accountable those responsible for these heinous acts and ensure justice for the victims. And last but not least, to fast-track long-term interventions to permanently eradicate banditry and highway insecurity in Samburu County. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senator Hamida Kibwana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my first statement is on the commemoration of International Women's Day 2025. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 52-1 to make a statement in commemoration of International Women's Day 2025. This day, Mr. Speaker, kindly protect me from Majority Leader.
Order. Majority Leader, welcome to Bunge.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 52-1 to make a statement in commemoration of International Women's Day 2025. This day is not only a global celebration of the achievements of women, but also a solemn reminder of the work that still lies ahead in our quest for gender equality. Mr. Speaker, sir, this year's theme, accelerate action for gender equality, resonates deeply as we prepare for the 69th session of the Commission of the Status of the Women, CSW 69, where Kenyans progress in implementing the Beijing Declaration and platform for action will come under review. Mr. Speaker, Kenya has made commendable strides in advancing the women's agenda. The 2010 Constitution firmly enshrines gender equality, and we have witnessed increased representation of women in leadership, with 47 elected women representatives, 29 in single constituencies, and 12 nominated members in the National Assembly. In the Senate, we have 3 elected women senators and 18 nominated ones, and a historic 7 women elected as county governors. Mr. Speaker, sir, women now head 7 key ministries, including health, defense, lands, public works, housing, and urban development. Prominent women hold constitutional offices such as Attorney General, Auditor General, Controller of Budget, and Chief Justice. Additionally, women lead independent commissions like the National Gender and Equality Commission, NGEC, and the Commission of Administrative Justice, Office of the Ombudsman. We also celebrate the appointment of Chief Justice Martha Koome, the first woman to hold this esteemed position in our nation's history. Beyond leadership, Kenya has rolled out critical women empowerment programs such as the Women Enterprise Fund, Uwezo Fund, and the National Government Affirmative Action, GAF, which have collectively improved women's access to capital and fostered economic independence. Legislative, we have enacted the Sexual Offences Act, the Prohibition of Female Genital Mutilation Act, and Protection Against Domestic Violence Act, all pivotal in protecting women's rights and addressing gender-based violence, GBV. Furthermore, gender desks in police stations and the establishment of gender-based violence recovery centers in hospitals are tangible steps in supporting survivors. Mr. Speaker, I am proud to highlight the impact work of the Kenya Women Senators Association, KEWOSA, has been in the front of mentoring women members of county assemblies, MCAs, having so far mentored women leaders from 7 counties. The initiative has empowered these women to effectively engage in legislative processes and leadership roles, strengthening the pipeline of future female leaders. Furthermore, KEWOSA has played a pivotal role in supporting women petty offenders who are unable to afford bail by facilitating the payment of their bill amounts. The compassionate initiative not only restores the dignity of these women, but also ensures that minor economic hardships do not unjustify rob them of their freedom. I extend my heartfelt appreciation to the women senators for their unwavering support and invaluable contributions to these programs. Their collective efforts have made a meaningful difference in advancing women's empowerment and gender equality across the nation. Mr. Speaker, sir, while we acknowledge these strides, we must also confront the persistent challenges. The 2/3 gender rule remains an unfulfilled constitutional requirement, and gender-based violence continues to rob women and girls of their dignity and safety. Economic disparities still limit women's access to land ownership and formal financial systems. As we mark this important day, I call upon in the House and all stakeholders to, number 1, expedite the full implementation of the 2/3 gender rule through legislative and policy action. Number 2, strengthen women's economic empowerment by expanding access to affordable credit and financial literacy programs. Number 3, invest in mentoring and leadership training for young women supported by KEWOSA and other platforms. Number 4, enhance the fight against GBV in increasing funding of shelters, expanding gender desks, ensuring swift justice for survivors. And number 5, ensure women's voices are integral to climate action and digital innovation, closing the gender gap in STEM fields. Mr. Speaker, empowering women means strengthening our nation. Let today serve not only as a celebration, but as a renewed call to action. Let us move counting women in leadership to making women in leadership count. Happy International Women's Day. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, kindly allow me to read the second one. But just before that, since it's Women's Day, I want to send my deep condolences to one of our sisters, Senator Betty Montet, who has lost her spouse, I think this afternoon. Some of our colleagues have rushed there, and we all want to go there for support. We wish her...
And in the other statement, under 52.1.
Yeah, I'll go to the second one. The recent win by Bien Baraza as the best East African artist in the Tres Music Awards 2025. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 52.1 to make a statement of general topical concern, namely congratulating Bien Aim Baraza, an award-winning Kenyan music artist, for his outstanding achievement in winning the prestigious East African Best Musician, titled as the Tres Music Awards. This remarkable feat is not only a personal triumph, but also a proud moment of Kenya, as it showcases the immense talent thriving within our creative and performing artist sector. Mr. Speaker, sir, Bien's success is a testament to the power of dedication, creativity, and resilience. It underscores the vital role that music and the arts play in shaping our cultural identity, inspiring the youth, and contributing to our nation's economy. His recognition on such a prominent regional platform, alongside the caliber of his competitors, Diamond Platinum, Tanzania, Joshua Baraka, Uganda, Harmonize, Tanzania, Rofan, Tanzania, Mario, Tanzania, Zuchu, Tanzania, and Nandi, Tanzania, highlights the potential of Kenya artists to compete and shine to the global stage. Mr. Speaker, sir, the achievement further brings to the light the critical role played by platforms such as the Tres Music Awards in nurturing and promoting local talent. Tres, established in 2003, is a global music and entertainment platform dedicated to promoting urban and contemporary African music. It originated from a cable TV network in France and has since grown into a powerful media brand, operating music channels, radio stations, and digital platforms across Africa and beyond. Tres has provided an individual stage for young artists, offering them the opportunity to showcase their creativity, expand their reach, and gain international recognition. It is through such opportunities that our youth are empowered to transform their artistic passions into meaningful careers. Mr. Speaker, sir, in light of this, I wish to urge the government to, number one, promote and incentivize the creative and performing artist sector by increasing funding, establishing mentorship programs, and providing grants for young artists. Number two, strengthen partnership with platforms like Tres and other stakeholders to create more avenues for Kenya talents to be showcased regionally and globally. Number three, incorporate arts education into schools' curricula to cultivate creativity and innovation among the youth from an early age. Number four, support the establishment of art hubs and music academies across the country to provide safe and a nurturing space for young creatives to learn and grow. Mr. Speaker, sir, as we celebrate Bien's victory, let this moment serve as a reminder of the boundless potential within our youth and the need to invest in their talents by fostering the environment where art and creativity nourishes and flourish. We not only empower individual artists, but also strengthen Kenya's cultural and economic landscape. Congratulations once again to Bien Baraza. Your win is Kenya's win. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. And since you have mentioned our condolences to Betty Montens, to her as the senator, nominated senator, and to her family. So the Senate stands with her during this time of grief and sorrow. Now we go to statements and standing order 53-1. Senator James Murango. You, okay. The two statements. And that solidarity is so nice, is your predecessor in the agriculture, former chair agriculture.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Request for statement on behalf of Senator James Murango, MP, Senator for Kirinyaga County, on the suspension of health care services under Social Health Authority SHA insurance cover by private hospitals. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Health regarding the suspension of health care services under Social Health Authority insurance cover by private hospitals affiliated with the Rural and Urban Private Hospitals Association of Kenya, RUFA. In the statement, the committee should, 1, state reasons for the suspension of health care services under the Social Health Authority SHA insurance cover by private hospitals affiliated to the Rural and Urban Private Hospitals Association of Kenya, explaining how this suspension affects access to health care services across the country. 2, explain any steps taken by the Ministry of Health to facilitate prompt resumption of normalcy in delivery of health care services in the affected facilities while the issues raised by RUFA are being addressed. And 3, outline the measures in place to facilitate the conclusive resolution of the issues raised by RUFA, as well as to prevent similar disruptions in future. Honorable Speaker, the second statement on the migration of Inua Jamii program beneficiaries to the eCitizen M-Pesa payment platform. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare regarding the challenges faced by beneficiaries of Inua Jamii program following migration to the eCitizen M-Pesa payment platform. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide a progress report on the migration of Inua Jamii program beneficiaries to the eCitizen M-Pesa payment platform, particularly in Kirinyaga County. 2, outline the challenges encountered in the migration process and any actions taken to address them, stating what the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection is doing to ensure the new system is reconfigured to recognize identity card numbers held by many of the older citizens. And finally, 3, state whether the government has put in place measures to ensure that beneficiaries who are experiencing challenges migrating to the new system receive their benefits on time while the challenges are being addressed. Senator James Murango, MP, Senator for Kirinyaga County.
Who do you want to inform, Senator Boni Karwale, Majority Whip?
The Senator for Bungoma.
Why are you informing him now? And he was just reading a statement. Maybe
Yes.
you can get him
Mr.
to
Speaker.
interrogate that statement at the committee level.
Mr. Speaker, it will help the House. No, I do not want to comment on the statement. It will help the House. And the information, Mr. Speaker, very briefly, is that the statement sought on the issue of SHA, Mr. Speaker, has been overtaken by time because the chairman of the Kenya Rural and Urban
Now that
Hospitals.
is what you could have maybe made your comment during the comment time, not now. Senator Andy Okech, there are several still other statements.
Sema Baba. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, today the majority leader is in a very high spirit, which is very good. But Mr. Speaker, also just allow me, through your honor, to convey my deepest condolences
to our colleague, Senator Montet. She has been an industrious member of this House and recently elected a chair of education. And the loss of the spouse is really a painful one, and we say sorry. Let me proceed to my statement.
I will gain that maybe you'll create some time for that particular.
Absolutely, that would be highly appreciated, Mr. Speaker.
So that we can do some work. Then I will create some time for the condolences.
Highly, thank you for your kindness, Mr. Speaker. That would be very, very highly appreciated. Mr. Speaker, this is a request of a statement on lack of transparency in the financial operations of the Migori County government. And Mr. Speaker, through your honor, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget regarding the lack of transparency in the financial operations of Migori County government. In the statement, Mr. Speaker, the committee should, 1, provide a comprehensive breakdown of the expenditure relating to the Kenya shillings 309,677,292 that was withdrawn by the County Executive of Migori following the approval of Exchequer requisition number MIG/REC/VOL7 bracket 131 dated 30th June 2023. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, in the statement, the committee should provide a detailed account of expenditure by the county government of Migori on bursaries in the year 2023-2024 financial year, including copies of receipts for each payment or acknowledgement letters from the receiving schools, colleges, and universities. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, on the same breath, the committee should explain the legal basis for the economic empowerment initiative undertaken by the Migori County government in February 2025, where Kenya shillings 40 million was distributed to 400 community groups across Migori County. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, in the same breath of Standing Order number 53-1, if you allow me, Mr. Speaker, I would wish to further a request of a statement on the settlement of pending bills by the County Executive of Migori County Government. Mr. Speaker, this follows a comprehensive visit together with the Finance and Budget Committee led by Senator Boni Alwale. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to rise further pursuant to this Standing Order number 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee of Finance and Budget and regarding the settlement of pending bills by the County Executive of Migori County. And in this statement, Mr. Speaker, the committee should, 1, explain how the Migori County government accumulated its pending bills, providing details on the procurement process, including documentation on the delivery and utilization of goods and services linked to these outstanding payments. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, state the amount of money set aside by the county government to settle pending bills during the year 2024-2025 financial year, including a detailed distribution of the amounts designated for each county department's pending bills. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, in the statement, the committee should provide a status update on the settlement of pending bills, thus afar outlining the county's payment plan for outstanding balances insofar. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Eddy. Honorable Senators, I want to make a communication on the visiting teachers and students from Sacho High School in Baringo County. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon of visiting teachers and students from Sacho High School in Baringo County. The delegation comprises 3 teachers and 85 students who are in the Senate for a one-day academic exposition. Honorable Senators, in our ancient tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm reception, welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. Senator Mutinda, why are you raising your hand up? Yes, you did. Okay, go ahead. 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to welcome the great, smart students, and as we can be able to see, and to really encourage you to pursue further. Education has no limit. It's the only thing, the only weapon that you can always pride it, and nobody can take education away from you. As Senate, we want to wish you the very best, go to the highest levels, and just know, as we are here, you can also have an opportunity to be here. God bless you.
Okay, thank you. Next statement by Senator Karungo Dango.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to also request for a statement on the issue of electricity disconnections in the counties, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to the Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Energy regarding the continued disconnection of electricity by the Kenya Power and Lighting Company, Kenya Power, and its overall engagement with the county governments and individual consumers. In the statement, the committee should, 1, state the legal and procedural framework governing electricity disconnections, providing a list of counties and essential service institutions such as hospitals that have faced power cuts from the year 2022 to date, and outline measures to ensure that critical public institutions are not affected by the unwarranted disconnections. 2, state the amount in electricity bills owed by county governments, particularly Nairobi, Mombasa, and Kiambu, which are reported to have the highest outstanding balances, and indicate whether Kenya Power has issued or intends to issue disconnection notices to these counties. 3, disclose the extent of individual consumer disconnections that have been affected from 2022 to date, stating the number of Kenyans who have had their power disconnected, and provide information on consumer complaints regarding business losses and damage to electrical appliances due to abrupt disconnections. And 4, outline any compensation mechanisms available to be affected consumers and the steps Kenya Power is taking to ensure fair and transparent engagement with the public and individuals and the county governments. Mr. Speaker, I request. Thank you.
Next statement by Senator Esther Okenyuri. Senator Chalagay, were you given instructions to do that? Yeah?
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of Senator Esther Okenyuri, request for statement on poor enforcement of anti-human trafficking laws. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labour and Social Welfare regarding the poor enforcement of human trafficking laws amid growing concern over the increased cases of human trafficking involving vulnerable children and women in Kenya. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide a detailed report on the measures in place to protect homeless mothers and their infants from abductions, stating the steps taken to investigate reported cases of baby snatching on the streets of Nairobi and other urban centers. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, indicate the mechanisms the government has implemented to ensure prompt reporting, tracking, and recovery of trafficked children, and highlight the successes recorded since implementation. Number 3, Speaker, sir, outline measures the government has undertaken to ensure full enforcement of adoption laws. Number 4, provide data on child trafficking cases and reported illegal adoptions, detailing the number of cases investigated, reversed, and the perpetrators prosecuted in the last 5 years. Number 5, disclose the loopholes in the civil registration process that allow traffickers to illegally obtain birth notifications and certificate documents, and state corrective actions being taken. And finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, outline the measures being implemented to enhance security in birth registration centers on behalf of Senator Esther Okenyuri, MP, nominated senator. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Last but not the least is a statement by Senator Jackson Mandago. This statement is directed to the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries regarding the status of purchase of wheat from Kenyan farmers. Is it yesterday that I hand this statement? And the Speaker gives some direction about the comments. What happened, Majority Leader?
I think maybe it should be just a small typo, but we commented about it, Speaker.
Okay. Then we go to, I want to give a few senators.
No.
Oh, yeah, you have the last one, Senator. Okay.
Thank you.
Aminda?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This one, my statement is on the recent wave of wildfires ravaging forests in the country. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee of Land, Environment and Natural Resources regarding the recent wave of wildfires that have ravaged various forest reserves and national parks across the country, including the Aberdares, Isiolo, Nairobi Park, the Mau Forest and Mount Kenya Forest. In the statement, the committee should 1. Explain the causes of the recent wildfires and indicate whether preliminary investigations suggest arson or other human activities as contributing factors. Number 2, outline specific measures and strategies that the Ministry, the Kenya Forest Service, KFS, and the Kenya Wildlife Service, KWS, have implemented to mitigate the spread of these wildfires and protect our forest reserves. Number 3, assess the level of preparedness of the ministry and relevant agencies in terms of available resources, such as firefighting equipment, personnel, and technology to effectively respond to such environmental disasters. Number 4, state whether any individuals or groups suspected of involvement in arson or other criminal activities related to the wildfires have been identified and prosecuted. And finally, elaborate on any long-term strategies, policies, and legislative frameworks that the ministry is putting in place to prevent and manage wildfires, rehabilitate the affected areas, and protect our fragile ecosystems. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. And Standing Order 57.1, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 57.1 to hereby present the business for the week that commences Tuesday the 11th of March 2025. Mr. Speaker, sir, before I make this presentation, allow me to give the status of legislative business pending before the Senate. Mr. Speaker, there are 55 bills, of which 43 are at the second reading stage and 12 are at the committee of the whole. 31 motions are pending conclusion, 25 petitions are pending conclusions, out of which 17 are due for reporting by the respective standing committees, and 523 statements pursuant to Standing Order number 53 1 are pending conclusion. Mr. Speaker, sir, on Tuesday, the 11th of March 2025, the Senate Business Committee will meet to consider the business for the week. The tentative business for that day will include business not concluded from today's order paper, as well as the business indicated in the notice paper. The tentative business for for morning sittings on Wednesday, 12th of March, will include schedule of questions to the various cabinet secretaries, as well as business that will have been approved by SBC on Tuesday, and motions as well. There are questions to the Cabinet Secretary for Defense by Professor Tom Ojienda, Senator Eddie Okech, Senator Tom Ojienda to the CS for Defense. Then there are two questions to the CS for Water, Sanitation and Irrigation by Senator Eddie Okech and Senator Dan Mahanzo. I hope Senator Sifuna will be in the House, Mr. Speaker, to meet your constituent, who he said he has never met that day. Then there is a question, Mr. Speaker, to the CS for Agriculture by Senator Murango, both questions actually, Mr. Speaker. Then the tentative business for the afternoon sitting on Wednesday, the 12th of March 2025, will include business not concluded from the order paper for Tuesday, the 11th of March 2025. And the following: the bills that are second reading stage, which is a PFM amendment bill, sports amendment bill, and the county wards equitable development bill. Then there are committee of the whole bills, which include ECD amendment bill, energy amendment bill, county public finance laws, amendment bill, county government election laws amendment bill, the county assembly services bill, the street vendors bill, local content bill, land amendment bill, cooperative societies bill. The projected business for Thursday 13th will include business not concluded in the order paper for Wednesday the 12th of March 2025 and any other business schedule. Mr. Speaker, it's worth noting to the House that since we resumed this session, we have never voted for any business beyond a voice vote. So I want to urge colleagues senators that I know you're busy with a lot of committee sittings and other business beyond the voting, but it is equally important to vote and pass legislation. Mr. Speaker, I hope that next week we shall raise the requisite numbers to conclude all these businesses that I've read, some of which are bills that date back to, I think, as early as 2015, if I may recall. The first time I heard of this local content bill, Mr. Speaker, was 2015 in this House, and it's still in our order paper. It's gone full circle. I really wish we can conclude, because it's an extremely important bill that will help our county governments, Mr. Speaker, to earn revenue from explorative activities within their counties and so many other things. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge colleagues that next week let us find time to be present in the House and to conclude on this business. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and lay this statement on the table of the Senate today. Thank you.
Thank you, Majority Leader. We now go to brief comments for the next almost 15 minutes. Senator Sifuna Edwin.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I could sense some anxiety on the part of the Majority Whip when the statement by the Kirinyaga Senator Murango was being read. It is as though he didn't want us to have opportunity to speak about the Social Health Authority issues, Honorable Speaker, because the chairperson of that Rural Hospitals, Private Hospital Association, is a young man I schooled with. He's called Lishenga. He was my candidate for Senate in Kakamega under the ODM ticket. And he has done a fantastic job representing those rural hospitals, Honorable Speaker, and he has informed me that although they have suspended hostilities for now, there are issues that still abound. Honorable Speaker, we at the County Public Accounts Committee had the opportunity to sit with the Auditor General on Tuesday when she appeared before our committee, and this is a matter of great national interest, so that colleagues should not appear to want to gag members when they are discussing a matter that is in the public domain. Honorable Speaker, one of the issues that, some of the issues that emerged from the meeting with the Auditor General is that there are a lot of questions to be asked about the way that we have rolled out the social health insurance scheme. Honorable Speaker, she has singled out a few issues, and I want to mention them. Number one, being unbudgeted procurement and competitive procurement, very many things, including unfavorable clauses to the people of Kenya. I heard the president, I think he was speaking in Malawi, saying that in this procurement there were no public resources used. I don't know how the president defines public resources, because, Honorable Speaker, the Auditor General has flagged that in that contract for the digital system, the owner of the system, who is not even the government, is a private consortium, takes 2.5% of my monthly contribution. Every time I pay my 32,000, that digital systems operator gets 2.5%. Then they get 5% on claims to hospitals. This is something that does not make any sense to me, Honorable Speaker. Why are claims being subjected to 5% deduction from the system operator? Then there is something called track and trace that they charge 1.5%. They are unconscionable contract terms, and we have to speak about these issues without appearing like, we are witch hunting or anything. So I want to assure the president that Sifuna's money is also defined as public money. My money is also public money because I'm making a contribution. All of us are making a contribution. And if the system operator is getting money from there, it means, therefore, that this 104 billion shillings that we are using to procure this system is actually public money. So, Honorable Speaker, the Auditor General made a suggestion to the House. Unfortunately, I'm no longer a member of the Senate Business Committee, but I think it is something that would be helpful to all of us as a House. She said that she needs to be allowed to also speak to Parliament in what she called a State of Accountability address. Let her come before this House, Honorable Speaker, and tell us the state of accountability in the country, because it will cut across all these issues on matters that are devolved and our individual counties, because there are problems all over the place. And, Honorable Speaker, although she tried to run away, we tried to tell her that, in fact, the Audit Act gives her powers to make recommendations that bind the hands of other institutions in the accountability ecosystem. Because according to her, she says that it is now the responsibility of Parliament, after she has said that there were 4 material breaches of the law in the procurement of the system for SHA, that it is now up to us to make recommendations. But the Audit Act also asks her to make recommendations. If they are saying that Parliament is the weak link in the accountability ecosystem, that we can be compromised, or that somehow her recommendations never see the light of day, let her tie Parliament's hands by saying, in these 4 breaches of the law in procurement of this system, the following officers at SHA are responsible. The following PSs, the following cabinet secretaries should be held to account. And that way, if we as a House want to change her recommendation, we will be the ones to explain to the public why we are letting thieves go. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Sifuna, you have really enjoyed 5 minutes out of 15 that are provided for statements this afternoon. So I think I did not give the time allocation when we started, but any other senator should take just 2 minutes to make a brief comment. Not to debate about the statement, just a brief comment. Senator Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, it will be unfair to us, but we'll try anyway to do justice to a very important national conversation that's ongoing.
3 minutes each?
I will try within 3 minutes. Mr. Speaker, I want to agree with what Senator Boni Alwale was informing the House, that now this so-called Rural Hospitals Association has eventually come to terms with the reality of the day. You know, when the minister was here last week, Mr. Speaker, what came out unequivocally out of the conversation she had with the House is that what the hospitals were complaining about was not SHA. What they were complaining about were the historical debts that they have with NHIF. And finally, when they have been assured that there is a process after which the verification process is done, they will be paid their money, you have seen they have resumed services. But what I like more about this program, Mr. Speaker, is that when I visited my own county referral hospital 2 weeks ago, the medical superintendent informed me that every month they used to write off bills between 7 to 10 million shillings from ordinary citizens of the county who, after being treated, will tell the doctors, see what to do with me. But now, because of this program, that debt has reduced to about 1 million shillings. What this confirms, Mr. Speaker, is that as we continue to deepen this program into the minds and hearts of ordinary Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, our public hospitals will have the resources to run, because public default by ordinary citizens who could not afford medical insurance will now become a thing of the past. On this issue, Mr. Speaker, of the matter that has been raised by the Auditor General, I would wish, Mr. Speaker, that either our Health Committee or even the entire sitting of the House unravel some of these questions. Because, Mr. Speaker, you know, this is a country that is governed by the rule of law. It will be important for citizens to know whether what is being alleged is actually true or false. Because I have read that particular report that Senator Sifuna is referring to. And there are certain questions that I want to have also with the Auditor General on how she arrived on some of these fundings. For example, Section 559.2 of her reports, she faults and says that the procurement method that was used was a breach of the law. Yet, Section 114 of Public Procurement and Disposal Act provides for specially procured goods and services in this country, Mr. Speaker. This is not the first time that government is using this mode, Mr. Speaker, of procuring goods and services. So it will be important for us to tell us whether, at what point did she declare this breach, Mr. Speaker, and why does she feel that certain sections of the law cannot be applied, Mr. Speaker. Yet, to the best of my recollection, this section of the law has not been injuncted by any court. It is part of the law that is still active and being used in court. Section 559 of our report, point 1, Mr. Speaker, on why this was not captured in the 2022-2023 budget review framework, Mr. Speaker, it will also be important to know from the ministry. I don't know what explanation they would have, but I suspect that 2022-2023, being a transition year from another administration to a new one, we could not have implemented the priorities of another administration, Mr. Speaker. And I believe that subsequently, there must have been a budget process through which all these were addressed. So, Mr. Speaker, so that we don't appear as if we are a house that sanitizes illegality, I want the
Clerk, to be fair, let the board leadership enjoy the 5 minutes. To be
Mr.
very
Speaker,
fair indeed.
in fact, I don't need, I just need an extra minute. I was concluding that to be fair to the country, it is important that that report is tabled in this House and subjected to thorough scrutiny by the committees of this House, Mr. Speaker, so that the country does not rely on newspaper cuttings by some people who may be having other agendas against share, Mr. Speaker. We know for a fact, Mr. Speaker, that there are people who used to benefit from the illegalities that were being committed under the NHIF. You think they will sit pretty, Mr. Speaker, and watch this program being rolled out? At every turn and opportunity, they will hire people to speak to them. They will incite the media against this particular program. That is why I want that report of the Auditor General tabled before this House. I want the competent committees to go after the 4 breaches that the Auditor General has highlighted. Final thing, Mr. Speaker, is on this issue of the cost of this particular system. It is important for it to be tabled so that Kenyans can know this tabulation of 104 billion. What exactly does it entail? Because I have seen even very educated people, Mr. Speaker, imagining that the government procured a software for 100 billion Kenya shillings, Mr. Speaker, which I know for a fact that that cannot be accurate. I want the list and the tabulation of all the items that eventually tabulates to 104 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker, so that we are able to tell, out of these items, what is it that has been charged beyond the market price, Mr. Speaker, so that eventually, as a House, nobody will say that we sanctioned an illegality when we passed the 4 laws that set up universal health care in our country. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Senator Ososi Bonfrey.
Mr. Speaker, I think a lot has been said about systems. For example, there is a statement on the issue of migration of Inua Jamii to e-citizen. And then you have heard clearly Senator Sifuna raising a matter on the share system. Mr. Speaker, I think one of the biggest problems in this country is that we have laws which we don't implement. Mr. Speaker, I'm talking as an IT expert and as one of the people who worked so hard to bring in place the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act. And in that law, it is very clear that big systems supporting the government must be licensed as a critical information infrastructure system. And the best practice globally is that such systems should not be operated by private individuals. That's the global practice. And such systems must be cost effective. I think one of the things that we need to look at moving forward as a house is to go back to that law and come up with the regulations on how systems that support the public sector or the government are defined in line with the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act. That way, we'll be able to avoid all these challenges we are talking about, operational issues, cost issues of this system. Mr. Speaker, this is something that I want, on behalf of this House, to be given the privilege to guide this House on that, how that should be done, because it has been done in other countries as well. Mr. Speaker, the second issue is the issue of the pending bills. Mr. Speaker, I've sat in this House, and almost every day, every senator is bringing the matter of pending bill in his county. We have even had a motion passed by this House, brought by Senator Ladama, on the issue of the pending bills. But why are we not making progress, Mr. Speaker? Why are we not making progress as a Senate on this matter? I therefore want to ask the Finance Committee that we need to deal with this matter of pending bills with finality, because our people, our contractors in the counties are suffering. And we are coming here just discussing, asking governors to appear before us, and nothing happens. It's like the institutions in our counties are not being managed by us. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to request that if the Finance Committee is not able to resolve this issue,
very well, thank you, Senator Godfrey Ososi. I want to make a communication on the visiting teachers and students from Getaroet Girls School in Kericho County. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon of visiting teachers and students from Getaroet Girls School in Kericho County. The delegation comprises 6 teachers and 70 students who are in the Senate for a one-day academic exposition. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. Let me make this other communication, then we can welcome them together. This is another delegation of staff from various county assemblies and the national various county assemblies. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon of a visiting delegation of staff from Trans Nzoia County, Garissa County, Nyeri County, and the Kenya School of TVET, Nairobi. The staff are attending a training program on protocol and events management in the legislature at the Center for Parliamentary Studies and Training, CPST. Honorable Senators, I request each member of the delegation to stand when called out so that they may be acknowledged in the Senate tradition. 1, Ms. Ruse Atieno from Trans Nzoia County. 2, Mr. Oscar Okumwanyonyi from Trans Nzoia County. 3, Mr. Friend Neyole Wanyonyi, Trans Nzoia County. Then Ms. Sarah Hussein Hissa, Garissa County. Sorry, Mr. Margaret Wanjiko Kimodo from the Kenya School of TVET, Nairobi. Last but not the least, Ms. Susan Gadaigia Sebastian from Nyeri County. On behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome and wish you a fruitful visit. Let's start under 1 minute. Senate Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to join you in welcoming these students from Getaroet Secondary School. Getaroet is in my home county, in the sub-county of Bureti. It's a very progressive school that I have had the opportunity to visit a couple of times and even build a classroom in honor one of a very distinguished teacher from this institution, who's a good friend of mine and the community there. So I hope, Mr. Speaker, that they enjoy the time seeing how debate happens in this house. This is where your senator works. So, Mr. Speaker, when they get home, they should report to their parents that we found him at work, that he was not missing in action, that they saw him debate and engage with colleagues, Mr. Speaker. What they watched us engage in is reaction to statements. What Parliament does is you legislate, you represent, and you oversight. The debates that were happening here is part of our oversight work to see the things that government do, whether they are done in accordance with the law, or if there is breach of the law, Mr. Speaker, we order people to go where people who do such things need to go to. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I welcome also the members of the county assembly from the various parts of the country. Senate is a mother institution of our county assemblies. In fact, our clerk is a patron of the organization of clerks of all the county assemblies. Mr. Speaker, I keep reminding ourselves that we must return back to the days of legislative summit, where we used to interact as Senate and the county assembly so that we can engage and exchange knowledge, Mr. Speaker, on how we run our oversight function as a devolution family. Therefore, I hope this staff, Mr. Speaker, have interacted with the extremely competent staff of the Senate and get to learn and leave Nairobi better than they were when they arrived in this institution. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Senate Majority Whip, Senator Boni Kalwale. You want to make a comment on the statements?
On the statements?
On
yes,
the
yes.
Statements.
Mr. Speaker.
3 minutes.
You said 5 minutes for the leadership.
No.
Mr. Speaker,
one from either side. So
is the deputy
now
whip?
You are eating into a 3 minutes. Can you kindly
Mr. Speaker, sir,
yourself?
Mr. Speaker, sir, the Honorable Sifuna is a deputy whip.
Presenting the minority side of the Senate. He's the only leader around this afternoon.
But think about it all the same. Mr. Speaker, the issue of SHA. Number one, if people who don't like SHA must fight SHA, they should fight it with facts. I have seen excuses one after another, up to and including from the media. In today's headline, they are calling a doctor of medicine, Dr. Deborah Mulung Barasa, as clueless. A girl who scored a straight A, went to the School of Medicine at the University of Nairobi, qualified without being referred in a single subject, went on and specialized in internal medicine, and you call her clueless? If people don't think that members of certain communities deserve being in government, they should say it. The purpose of the broad-based government could not possibly have been, Mr. Speaker, that you edge out Mulongo. We want Mulongo to be respected, to be allowed to work. Number two, I am one of the leaders in this country who has expressed my reservations about SHA. Not because SHA is bad, but because being an expert on medicine, surely I know something. The problem with SHA is the funding model. Nowhere in the world, Mr. Speaker, can you roll out universal health care for the Republic using private members' contributions only. The leadership of this country, we must help the government to see the positive side of SHA, and we improve on its proposal without looking like when you speak to it, you are anti-government. Mr. Speaker, in the United Kingdom, where universal health care is successful, funding is from three limbs. One, funding from members' contributions, the way Sifuna has explained. Two, funding
from injection from the national treasury, the exchequer, and 3 out of pocket. Mr. Speaker, we must put the national government as parliament under pressure so that the 134.5 billion shillings, give me a second.
Give the Daktari 1 more minute.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, so that the 134.5 billion shillings that remains here at Afya House when health is fully devolved, left at Afya House to be abused, that money, either 50% or 60%, should be rolled into SHA, SHIF. Mr. Speaker, if we don't do this, then the women today who are in the maternity ward in Provincial General Hospital, Kakamega, they are there today. They have been imprisoned because they did not clear the bills. Their husbands are screaming. They are in my home every morning. They are saying, my wife has been arrested after giving birth, and yet the last time when she gave birth, I walked in with an NHF card, and I was given my wife and the child. Those are the people who voted for me. And those are the people I will speak for. Those are the people who deserve representation, not you rich people. Every time I see people say, oh, accept this going on because me, I make a contribution of, I don't know, 27, 36. That is not the point. The point is the people who vote for us, the parents of the children who did the gallery, Mr. Speaker, this afternoon. Because I know most of you, you are not any different from these people whose wives have been arrested in the province of Kakamega. Even you are lucky if your mother had delivered you in hospital, she would have been arrested. You were delivered in a banana plantation like myself. That is how serious it is, Mr. Speaker. And SHA must
more
be...
than 1 minute that I give Senator.
Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, SHA must be properly thought through. The government made an error in trying to roll out a very good thing without proper piloting, Mr. Speaker.
Must be now concluding the statements. I can see the Senator Manzo is not ready. Then I give Senator Chalage.
Mr. Speaker, just on the issue of Social Health Authority, I want to caution the Office of the Auditor General, while under Article 229, the Office of the Auditor General is very critical in auditing. And I am the biggest champion of transparency agencies in the country. But Mr. Speaker, we should not allow the Auditor General to sensationalize a very critical and important government program. And therefore, and media also has been part of this wider scheme, Mr. Speaker, of centralizing stories. Yet under Article 229, sub-Article 8, Parliament has a role, Mr. Speaker. We need to consider these reports. It doesn't mean that when the Auditor General, Mr. Speaker, has brought a report on the issue of SHA, we take it as a gospel truth. The Parliament must consider and look at the options that come out, Mr. Speaker, and therefore, this thing does not make, Mr. Speaker, you know, the return of brown envelope media has been a problem in this country. And you can see even they are attacking the person and stature of a cabinet secretary by calling her clueless. Yet they don't have regard on what she has already done under the Social Health Authority, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I want to say that the Auditor General's report on SHA is a sensational story that should be taken with a pinch of salt by Kenyans who take seriously Article 229 because Parliament must consider, Mr. Speaker. Finally, on the issue of voiding payments in Migori County, Mr. Speaker, I want to ask that EACC should be on the Migori because of the voiding payment of over 300 million, Mr. Speaker. That Migori County should be declared a crime scene. How can the county government do voiding payments of more than 300 million, yet it cannot be accounted, Mr. Speaker? If the EACC was functioning, apart from arresting 1,000, 10,000 primary, Mr. Speaker, Migori County should be declared, Mr. Speaker, a crime scene. And I hope the Secretary General of ODM and Deputy Party Leader should call their governor. He always says they are the best practices in terms of protecting devolution. The DPL, the SG, Mr. Speaker, even as we do the oversight,
Just
Mr.
a minute,
Speaker.
Senator Chalage, Senator Sifuna. What is your point of order?
Honorable Speaker, is Senator Fernandi in order to ascribe duties that are reserved for investigative agencies to a political party? Because he knows very well that political parties are not enforcement agencies when it comes to matters of alleged criminal conduct. All breaches of the law have to be sent to the proper agencies. Is he in order to invoke ODM willy-nilly? And yet this is a very powerful political party, Honorable Speaker, in matters that have nothing to do with politics.
Senator Chalage, you know, is a seasoned legislator. And he knows once the reports come to the Senate, they go to CPAC, and then CPAC makes recommendation to certain institutions.
But Mr. Speaker, the Secretary General of
being diversionary and guiding,
it's not being
you are guiding the Republic of Kenya, citizens of Kenya who are watching us.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, I am not being diversionary or what. Mr. Speaker, you know we should avoid double standards.
And
when ODM counties...
Don't contribute in a way that you want to injure.
No, I'm not injuring, but what I'm saying...
Other Kenyans.
Mr. Speaker, the Secretary General of ODM should avoid double standards. When ODM counties perform well, he says these are best ODM counties. But when stealing or plundering of resources like Migori is happening, the SG denies, Mr. Speaker. How can he run away from his own child? ODM, Mr. Speaker, but I'm saying as a party also you have a role to bring order and discipline. Because I don't believe ODM is a party that allows corruption to thrive in their own counties that they run, Mr. Speaker. So in as much as, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I agree that the CPAC and PIC, Mr. Speaker, must cease this matter. And therefore, I support.
Next is the Senator Tabitha Mutinda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And let me make a comment that I've had my colleagues try to bring it out, simply because I'm the Vice Chair of Finance and Budget in regards to the issue of pending bill. And our resolution as a committee, Mr. Speaker, is that we are going to have our plan to ensure that we are going to visit each and every county on the issue of pending bills, because it's been a thorny issue. Mr. Speaker, just to touch on the issue of SHA. SHA has really been very much politicized, diverting our focus from the people who are really in need. Mr. Speaker, us as members of parliament, we have a very executive insurance such that we are able to access very good medical services. The issue that is currently on table is affecting the common mwananchi. We should be able to have a discussion that at the end of the day brings a solution to the common mwananchi. The problem that is there is also how this communication was done. Because out of 18 million Kenyans who have registered for SHA, only 4 million are remitting. The other 14 million are not remitting, Mr. Speaker. Today, as we were looking at the PBS and the COG appeared, in their submissions, Mr. Speaker, out of the 85 billion that has been increased to go to the Ministry of Health, 30 billion almost is going to the Ministry of Health, but to be able to do other functions. And then we are also asking, this additional funding is supposed to be able to do what? Because any additional funding that has gone to the Ministry of Health should also be able to show or strategically be able to show how much is going to be able to handle the issues of SHA. The discussion that we are having and trying to negate SHA so much and make it look so bad, yet it is one of the best programs that the government is offering. We are forgetting that you do not know when you'll get sick. You do not know. Sickness does not knock. So in whichever conversation that we are having, let us have a conversation minding the common mwananchi and addressing the key issues. The issue of the Auditor General, yes, there are concerns. Let them come to Parliament. Let us address them. Let us look at them. But the issues of the Auditor General are different issues. The issues of the mwananchi going to the hospital and not being able to get a service is an issue. And that should be addressed collectively. Sickness does not know tribe. Sickness has no time.
And sometimes it doesn't matter how.
Honorable Senators, you must conclude the statement hour because we have lined some motions, bills. Last but not the least now is Senator from Mahanzo Daniel, minority side.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to state that the moment we passed the Shah and Chief law, the NHIF law was repealed. And therefore, there's no possibility or chance that people will go back to that. And therefore, we must do our level best, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that this program, very important, touching all our counties, touching every single village in this country, that is sorted. Mr. Speaker, for the first time in life, the Kenyans have really suffered. We, the members of parliament, are the one rescuing people from hospitals. And again, Mr. Speaker, the thieves of NHIF are known. Where they have hidden the resources is known. The government, the DPP, the DCI should do everything possible, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that all the thieves are arrested, charged by ESCC, and make sure that the monies are recovered, because they live in this country, they are known, some of them are in government, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, it is important so that we bring this matter to conclusion, to come up with a way forward, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that Kenyans, a common Kenyan, is served by this system, so that it should not look like it were better when NHIF was there, but make sure that nobody is detained in hospital after giving birth, no one is detained in hospital after getting sick, and especially when they come from poor families whereby they are not able to afford and to make sure that they are free from such mistreatment, be mishandled. And meanwhile, while we sort out this, I think the government then should come up with a strategy of releasing of these people or getting them paid for, because we have raised more than enough money. The Minister of Health is devolved. Money is stuck at the national government. And most important, Mr. Speaker, and now those are funded, then any deficits should be taken care of by the Minister of Health. Otherwise, I am grateful and thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to make these comments. Thank you.
So, Honorable Senators, let's go to the next order now.
Order number 8, motion. Report of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries on a petition to the Senate regarding the catastrophic maize diseases that farmers in Bomet County have endured for the last 12 years. Resumption of debate interrupted on Wednesday, 5th March 2025, afternoon sitting. Question to be put.
This is a voice vote. So, one, I want to determine that this motion does not affect counties, and then also to ascertain whether we have the quorum. If we don't have the quorum, then we defer that order. Then from order number 9, I want to reorganize the business appearing in the order paper from order number 9, 10, these are divisions, 11, and 12. Those divisions will be deferred to the next sitting or sometimes when there will be space for them. So we go to order number 13. Clerk.
Order number 13, motion. Report of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries on a petition to the Senate regarding graft investigation by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, on the West Kano irrigation scheme.
Chair, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries. You move the motion, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move.
Chair, just give me 1 minute. I recognize this delegation because it might take some time. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon of visiting teachers and students from St. Thomas Aquinas, Tamadeu Boys School in Makueni County. The delegation comprises 2 teachers and 49 students who are in the Senate for a one-day academic exposition. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. Thank you. Senator representing Makueni County, 1 minute to welcome the students.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I take this opportunity.
From St. Thomas Aquinas.
Yes.
From Adeu Boys School.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. I want to welcome the students to the House and tell them that when you visit Parliament, you learn a lot. In your form for examinations, for those who are reading history and civics, you are going to have about 10 to 15 marks questions in relation to Parliament. So when you are here, get to know who the Speaker is, the clerk, sergeant at arms, all those, and how Parliament runs, and it's especially as a third arm of government. I want to welcome you and wish that some of you will become very ambitious today, and will one day become senators or members of Parliament. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Wakoli, proceed and move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I want to request your permission to remind my good senator that after the function, he should see his students behind the tent for some motivation. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries on a petition to the Senate regarding draft investigation by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission on the West Kano irrigation scheme laid on the table of the Senate on Thursday, 5th, 2024. Honorable Speaker, the Standing Committee on Agriculture received a petition from Patrick Ochieng Odimba on behalf of the citizens of the Republic of Kenya and residents of Kawino North location, Kabido Sub-County, Nyando Constituency, Kisumu County, regarding the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission EACC graft investigation in West Kano irrigation scheme. The petition raises issues regarding to 3 major grafts in the scheme, namely, that is Rehabilitation Fund graft, Farm Machine Accessories Aid Grant graft, and Rice Sales Fund graft. Honorable Speaker, the petition raises the following issues. Between 2009 and 2015, the government released 86 million, with the farmers saving totaling to 18 million, which was utilized by West Kano Irrigation Farmers Revolving Fund and the National Irrigation Board. Between 2015 and 17, the scheme Farmers Cooperative Society leaders, in conjunction with the National Irrigation Authority, managed the farm accessories aid. This aid was given to Government of Kenya together with the Government of Republic of Japan and has not been accounted for. Between 2020 and 21, the Kenya National Trading Company, in conjunction with the National Irrigation Authority and the scheme Farmers Cooperative Society leaders, managed the Rice Sales Fund and was given by the Government of Kenya and not accounted for. Efforts by the residents of West Kano irrigation scheme to have the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission investigate the pilferage in the scheme had failed. Mr. Speaker, sir, based on the deliberations with the petitioner on 21st February 2023, the committee made the Executive Officer, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Committee, on Tuesday, 6th, 2023, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Water and Sanitation, on Wednesday, 29th March 2023. The Commission Secretary of the Commission on Administrative Justice, CAJ, on Tuesday, 24th, 2024. The Managing Director, Kenya National Trading Company, on Tuesday, 24th, 2024. Governor Kisumu on 11th July 2023. The committee further held a meeting with the managers of West Kano Farmers Cooperative Society and the leaders of the three funds on 8th August 2023. Mr. Speaker, sir, based on the deliberations, the committee made the following recommendations and observations. Whereas there have been numerous requests by stakeholders, EACC, to launch investigations over this matter, there appears to have been inaction by these agencies to conclusively investigate this matter and give response to farmers. The West Kano Irrigation Scheme received substantial amounts from 2008 and 21. However, regular and systematic audits, fund utilizations have not been taken and inevitably led to the culmination of unaudited accounts running to many years. Honorable Speaker, the Kisumu County government that facilitated the ownership and acquisition of the tractors for a very long time equally did not honor its part of responsibility. The revolving fund may have collapsed because of initial cash disbursement and therefore lack of goodwill from the farmers and the mentality that the support was a grant and hence failing to remit the funds may have led to the collapse of the revolving fund. That aside from the funds received from the rehabilitation fund, the scheme also received funds from Farm Accessories Aid Fund and other funds and the Rice Sales Fund, which also needs to be investigated and audited. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to conclude that through the investigation carried out by the Director of Criminal Investigations, officials implicated in the petition, this is to ascertain that the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, officials and Office of the Ombudsman, Regional Office of Kisumu, to who have been accused of inaction and investigated their role in the failure to act conclusively on the matter. The DCI should then share the final report with the committee within the stipulated time. A forensic audit of the West Kano Cooperative Scheme should be carried out. An institutional audit of the National Irrigation Board to be carried out by EACC to determine the management of the irrigation scheme and their role in the revolving fund within 4 months. An official status report to be provided by the county government of Kisumu in relation to the Farm Accessories Fund. This report should also cover status of the non-functional machineries and grounded tractors as well as current balance of the ongoing remittances being serviced by the Kisumu County Government. A final report, audit report, be provided by the National Irrigation Board to the Committee on the Revolving Fund that collapsed because of the initial cash disbursement that was a grant, which was later converted to a revolving fund within 6 months. This will also confirm if the lack of goodwill from farmers and the mentality that the support was a grant and hence failing to remit the funds is the reason that led to the collapse of the revolving fund. EACC to provide a formal response to the Commission on Administrative Justice findings report that stated that the responses of the scheme were shrouded with inconsistencies and further noted that the matters raised amount to allegations of corruption. This response should be shared with the committee within 3 months. EACC should further extend investigations to KCB Kisumu branch within 5 months regarding their role in facilitating the opening of the bank account under the name of individuals, and yet the account was used to transact government funds, should also be investigated to determine the role they played in the graft allegation. Mr. Speaker, sir, in conclusion, the committee observed that this petition and all other matters affecting the farmers in the country subsequently affect food security. Any related issue raised on the matters affecting farmers not only in West Kano, but also in other irrigation schemes should thoroughly be dealt with. Mr. Speaker, sir, in order for the recommendations of the committee to be actionable, I beg to move. I want to take this opportunity to request Honorable Cheregei to do the secondment.
Senator Cheregei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, it's an honor to, as I second this motion. Yesterday we did a motion on the issue of maize. Today we are doing on West Kano and the role of EACC in this matter. Mr. Speaker, I want to agree largely. Mr. Speaker, you know our farmers sacrifice a lot. They sometimes come together through cooperative movements. Sometimes they save the money. But sometimes it's very unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, that some few individuals, especially directors, take advantage of the funds that is meant to bring cooperative movements. And I know Mount Kenya, where you are a member, let me use for the purposes of just debate, I don't want it to be misinterpreted. Most of the coffee cooperative movements have died because of corruption and bad governance within cooperative movements. And directors are working scot-free, Mr. Speaker. Yet the corporate governance provides on the processes on how to handle directors, Mr. Speaker, who misuse funds and abuse of office, Mr. Speaker, and yet they are yet to be arrested, Mr. Speaker. So this is a similar case that happened in West Kano, in Kisumu, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, the sad thing in this country, Mr. Speaker, is money is misappropriated, money is embezzled, but the agencies that are supposed to investigate and prosecute have become part and parcel of the money heist and propagating, Mr. Speaker, the criminality of public plundering of resources and cover-up, Mr. Speaker. Because the story we had in this report looks like a classical cover-up by the EACC. Instead of investigating, they became complacent in the whole matter. Yet farmers were losing their money. And this West Kano project, Mr. Speaker, is very critical because we are talking about food security in this country. We need to ensure that there is enough maize, there is enough rice, Mr. Speaker, or wheat, Mr. Speaker, and a number of it, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I am happy that the committee, without fear or favor of contradiction, have taken very serious recommendations that if fully implemented, Mr. Speaker, it will give reprieve to the farmers of West Kano, Mr. Speaker. This is a huge scheme that has been run by farmers that involves millions and millions of shillings that should be taken into consideration, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I agree that since EACC bungled and abuse and did not carry proper investigation, it is better that Director of Criminal Investigation, DCI, to prosecute. Mr. Speaker, and I want to call out EACC. Some of us have complained, especially in financial misappropriation in our counties. But you hear EACC, they call media, come rat matters, they come perambulating, Mr. Speaker, come with cameras, do office raid, take governors for statement or senior county officials. But, Mr. Speaker, many months down the line, they are yet even to work one arrest or even charge one person in a court of law. I think EACC, instead of being a catalyst or prosecution of corruption in this country, they are no longer doing their job, Mr. Speaker. They are becoming antidote of the corrupt in this country. For example, even in Nandi, when the issue of payroll scandal, where close relatives of governor with close sanguinity were found in the payroll fraud, the EACC one morning appeared like angels, decided to do rat massage. They were with cameras of media, ransacked the offices of county offices, but they have never made a single arrest 6 months down the line. So it is very unfortunate on this case that the EACC bungled the investigations on West Kano because of just corruption. Instead of fighting corruption, they are perpetuating corruption, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I agree that the DCI must seize the matter, do the needful and investigate, and charge people, Mr. Speaker, including directors or officials who participated in the misappropriation of funds, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I want also although I have had the addition that the committee made is the forensic audit, of course, with a view of possible investigation of perpetrators. Forensic audit must be done to ensure anybody who is found culpable who participated in this haste. You know, Mr. Speaker, there is what you call money haste. If you watch Netflix movies or any other movies nowadays, what these Gen Zs and these young people like watching is called the haste. This is a classical movie of haste of farmers' money. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, there must be a forensic audit with a view of prosecution. And therefore, DPP, Mr. Speaker, with the under Article 229 of the Constitution 2010, the role of Auditor General is also to do special audit, Mr. Speaker, and specifically forensic audit to unearth financial misappropriation with a view of prosecution. And therefore, in addition, I want to urge, upon the completion of this report, the committee must request that the DPP takes over the findings with a possibility and a view of prosecution. And I'm informed some of the people who should be prosecuted include senior county officials, include some officials who are high-ranking officials in government, and they must be so the issue of forensic audit must be done to ensure that we and therefore, Mr. Speaker, it is embarrassing, and I hope the CEO of EACC and EACC must apologize to West Kano farmers, Mr. Speaker, for bungling these investigations. And nowadays, Mr. Speaker, you report a corruption, the same people, I'm not saying all EACC officers are bad, a few errand officers within EACC, when a corruption case is reported, they go and look for the person who is accused and they see each other behind the tent. And therefore, it impedes the fight against corruption. So, Senator Manzo, as you talk about corruption, this is a classical case where EACC has become complacent, Mr. Speaker. And it is very unfortunate, even in our counties. They are busy doing, and in fact, EACC, Mr. Speaker, nowadays, I've opened another business of laundromat or laundry services, where the corrupt are reported to EACC, they take over the file. The file is, they make sure the investigations are sham. The file which is skeleton is taken to the DPP returns the file and says it does not meet the threshold to prosecute the accused. And it is the only way of they are running laundry services of the corrupt in this country. Because if EACC were even serious for 20%, I can tell you a number of senior county officials, Mr. Speaker, 3/4 would be in jail, eating beans, Mr. Speaker. And I don't mean to intend, you know, they told me, Mr. Speaker, in a king's table, you don't get beans. I know your visitors eat beans daily in school, and ugali, but I'm told in the king's table, there is no something called beans. So, Mr. Speaker, this individual should be eating beans here in industrial area, in Shikutsa prison, and across the country, Mr. Speaker, so that they can be disciplined. Mr. Speaker, we should make it painful for somebody to steal public money. Say that when somebody even sees public money, they shudder. But now this country, Mr. Speaker, the people who are wealth, the corrupt is that people are fighting to be in government. You saw the number of people applying to be IEPC commissioners. Thousands and thousands. You see people want to go, you find people leaving private practice to come to public because they imagine that when you are a public servant, it is easy to plunder and become wealthy, Mr. Speaker. And to sanitize your money, you go and run for an elective office, which is bad manners, Mr. Speaker, that we are practicing in this country, that it must stop, Mr. Speaker. The third point is National Irrigation Board as a failure. We must collapse some of these agencies. You remember yesterday we were discussing about National Drought Mitigation Authority. I know for Makueni, Kitui, Machakos, part of Kajiado, the northern Kenya, like Mandera, Wajir, all the way to Turkana, Mr. Speaker, there is a biting drought, Mr. Speaker. But some of these agencies, they have money. But what they do, you never understand. You remember the collapse of the Solai Dam. These agencies like National Irrigation Board were complacent, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, they must be charged for failing in owing duty of care. Because as an agency, Mr. Speaker, you have a duty of care of your services. And therefore, they must be charged for criminal negligence until the funds that were lost in West Kano, Mr. Speaker. The fourth point, Mr. Speaker, is, of course, the cooperative directors must be surcharged, Mr. Speaker, and be ensured. The fifth point is, I agree, Mr. Speaker, that also the commercial banks, and this is where the road meets the rubber, the commercial banks, especially Kenya Commercial Bank, Kisumu branch, the directors up to the senior level must be surcharged. Because if they are allowing corrupt proceeds of crime under the EACC Act is very clear. If they're allowing the proceeds of crime and corruption pass through their accounts, and they are complacent, I know commercial banks, their only motivation is to make profits, but they owe a duty of care to Kenyans. These banks are run by Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. These are Kenyan banks. Why is it that they are only motivated to make profits by breaking the law? And even the Banking Act, I expect the Banking Association of Kenya, Mr. Speaker, the Central Bank of Kenya, which is the biggest regulator, should be on eye, Mr. Speaker, because our banks are now becoming banks of money laundering and allowing corruption proceeds and proceeds of crime. Even when you ask yourself, Mr. Speaker, why is money being lost through corruption? Where do these people hide? They don't hide in their bedrooms. They don't hide in their mattresses. The sad reality is that this money can be traced. They are hiding in accounts, bank accounts. And even these banks are assisting these people to take their money outside the country and bank in the famous escrow accounts, Mr. Speaker. They bank there even in Dubai. You find others are in Swiss accounts. There was also the Panama, the one papers, the one that we saw some senior families and individuals who are being mentioned, that they were hiding money in Cayman Islands, Mr. Speaker. Even the exclusive islands, Mr. Speaker. And that is why the banks of Kenya are aiding and abetting the process of proceeds of crime, like KCB, Kenya Commercial Bank branch of Kisumu. And I hope the central bank must take serious punitive action against Kenya Commercial Bank of Kisumu branch, including even surcharging senior directors of that bank. And Mr. Speaker, in future, and I want to encourage the Auditor General, even in this issue of corruption in counties, we must name and shame the commercial banks that are being used to launder. For example, you saw Bungoma, Mr. Speaker, and the senator is here. They had over 330 commercial banks. Nandi had almost 100. Meru, the similar number. Why would your bank allow, the law is very clear that they only maintain the bank at the national, the bank at the national, that is the Central Bank of Kenya, through the National Treasury, Mr. Speaker. But you get a county like Nairobi, have thousands and thousands of commercial banks, Mr. Speaker, accounts. What is the purpose of these many accounts? Especially on the issue of revenue. You get them, they have M-Pesa pay bill, they have M-Pesa pay bill, they have commercial banks, Mr. Speaker. It is a process of laundering crime, proceeds, and corruption and money laundering. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to call out the Central Bank of Kenya, the regulator, Mr. Speaker. They must also enforce these rules so that we have Anti-Money Laundering Act. We have EACC, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Act, where they have defined proceeds of crime. The law is enough, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that they push in Mr. Speaker. On the issue of farm machinery and accessories fund, of course, this must be looked at, Mr. Speaker. Let us find the status of the machinery that is with the Western Kano irrigation, Mr. Speaker. And also, National Irrigation Board must be called out, just like banks, Mr. Speaker. The National Irrigation Board must be sanctioned, surcharge the senior officials so that we can ensure our farmers do not continue to suffer. Mr. Speaker, because the failure of EACC, I want to encourage Commission of Administrative Justice or the Ombudsman to come out and investigate this travesty of justice going into the future, Mr. Speaker, because this is the work, and therefore, Ombudsman did find, Mr. Speaker, the CAJ did find that there was a lot of inconsistency in terms of investigation by the EACC, Mr. Speaker. All said and done, Mr. Speaker, the EACC failed in duty of care. And EACC aided and abetted corruption. They must be called out. And I think also, I don't know, when EACC, somebody tell me who will watch the watcher? Who will watch the watchman? Now, EACC is supposed to fight corruption, but they are hiding corruption. So I don't know, Senator Mungatana, who will arrest the EACC officers? Ordinarily, they should be the one arresting the corrupt. So who will watch the watchman? Who will watch the watcher, Mr. Speaker? The army. So you are recommending for court-martial, Mr. Speaker, that we are saying if EACC are bungled investigation, we can become radical and allow the army to take over through court-martial. Because who will watch the watcher? Because if it is the watchman that is allowed stealing to happen, who will ensure that the watchman is being watched? And therefore, members are saying, if EACC are bungled investigations, Mr. Speaker, the person who should take over is through the court martial of the military, so that the money can be returned, Mr. Speaker. Finally, I want to agree with the committee, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, that we also, Mr. Speaker, trace, I know Senator Manzo knows this because he's a senior counsel, we must trace, Mr. Speaker, these proceeds that were stolen. We must, as we surcharge and do recovery. The asset recovery, under the law, have obligation to trace the money in those accounts, freeze the money, trace it and bring it back for the public, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, in this country, when somebody is corrupt, we should not only jail them, we jail them, trace, recover assets and money back to the community, Mr. Speaker. Because these people who are corrupt, they will always steal, know that they will go to court, they will play around with the legal process, judicial process, get good lawyers who are sharp, they delay the prosecution. After they are being fined maybe 100 million, Mr. Speaker, they come back and enjoy the proceeds of crime or corruption. We must make it painful to steal from Kenyans. One, jail them. In future, Mr. Speaker, we should even suggest that the corrupt must be paraded in Uhuru Gardens, Mr. Speaker, and be shot on sight, so that we don't have such DNA in our system again, so that they don't sire seeds of corruption, Mr. Speaker. We shoot them on sight. And then, Mr. Speaker, we can even recommend that we do court-martial, the way our neighbor Museveni is doing to some individuals. We court-martial them, shoot them inside, so that we don't, and in fact, Mr. Speaker, I'm proposing that, Mr. Speaker, we make them sterile, Mr. Speaker. We castrate them so that that DNA does not progress in our society, so that the young people who are on your gallery, Mr. Speaker, do not get a country where to get something in government or anywhere you must be corrupt. We should value integrity so much, say that when somebody is corrupt, like in Japan, when they are mentioned in corruption, they commit suicide because of the national shame and embarrassment, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, as I support this report, I want to say members, let us support, and I think, and I want to call the jail, like I don't know whether Senator Manzo is a member, they should invite the EACC to appear before the Senate. They should stop telling us about arresting traffic officers who have taken 200 shillings, 50 shillings. They should tell us where these individuals who are stealing from social health insurance, who are stealing in NHIF, who did state capture, where are they? Why are they enjoying the resources? And we are making noise here in Senate, yet people are enjoying the ill-gotten wealth, Mr. Speaker. With those very many remarks, I beg to second, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the indulgence of time. I second, Mr. Speaker, this motion.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries on a petition to the Senate regarding graft investigation by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, on the West Kano irrigation scheme laid on the table of the Senate on Thursday, 5th December 2024. And before I give senators to contribute to the motion, I want to also welcome the visiting teachers and students from Yororo Girls Secondary School in Meru County. Honorable Senators, thank you. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon of visiting teachers and students from Yororo Girls Secondary School in Meru County. The delegation comprises 4 teachers and 116 students who are in the Senate for a one-day academic exposition. Honorable Senators, in the issue tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. Thank you. So on this particular, honorable senators, as you have heard, this is a school in, these are my constituents. Of course, I can welcome them. I want to welcome them to the Senate. And this is a school, a council school that I did support, and even when I was a member of the National Assembly for 10 years. So I want to welcome them and also ask my good sister, Senator Catherine Nyamo. This is a girls' school, so I want to honor honor them by being welcomed by my sister Catherine, Senator Karen Nyamu, and to give them a sister advice on how to pursue role.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to welcome the girls and the teachers from the school in Meru. It is a great opportunity for you to come and witness firsthand what happens at the floor of the House. I know you're probably here to learn what happens in the legislature as one of the arms of government, and while at it, a few of you might get inspired to want to represent your people in the future. I am a great believer and supporter of young dreams and the girl child, particularly the girl child's dream. I want to encourage you, no matter your background, no matter where you come from, you can dream big, and one day you can be here to represent your people in various capacity, maybe your county, maybe your constituency on the other side of the National Assembly. And so, just to tell you that nothing is out of reach for you, young girls. And with those few remarks, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Cullen. So we go back now to the motion, and I'll request Senator Mugatana to make his contribution to the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I want to thank the very honored son of this country, Mr. Patrick Ocheng Odindo, for presenting this petition on the ethics and anti-corruption graft investigation on the West Kano irrigation scheme and their failure to act to expectations. Mr. Speaker, I also want to thank the Agriculture Committee of the Senate under the leadership of Honorable Senator David Wakoli for ably presenting this report before the Senate. Mr. Speaker, the complaint that Mr. Odindo has presented before the Senate is that 59 farmers groups, Mr. Speaker, have suffered tremendous losses of funds that were meant to help them under the West Kano irrigation scheme. So, Speaker, between 2009 and 2015, 86 million was allegedly lost, and this was the revolving fund of the West Kano farmers. Mr. Speaker, this same gallant son says between 2015 and 2017, the scheme Farmers Cooperative Society leaders who managed the farm machinery fund again could not account for the money that was donated by the Kenya government and the government of Japan. So, Speaker, again, the Rice Sales Fund, which was again a donation to this particular 59 groups of farmers, again was lost. Mr. Speaker, the residents of West Kano irrigation scheme, they made these allegations before the Western region of the Anti-Corruption Commission, but nothing was done, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the question that we need to ask ourselves is, what is it that the Anti-Corruption Commission was doing in Western region all these years? How can it be that the EACC makes a decision to devolve its work to various regions, and the people in those regions, in this particular case, the Western region, are not happy. They are not satisfied with the work that you're doing. What is it that needs to be done to this Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission for it to wake up to its responsibility? Mr. Speaker, these people are simply saying, we have not gone, we have done everything we can, we've done everything correct, but we have been let down by a government body. Mr. Speaker, 86 million is not small money, especially in the rural areas. This money was misappropriated. Nobody has been arrested. The people have made a report. Nothing has been done by the EACC, Mr. Speaker. What are the people supposed to do, Mr. Speaker? They have looked for all other ways to deal with this matter, and they have landed on this Senate. Mr. Speaker, this Senate, in its recommendation, has said, let us move away from the EACC and let us go to the DCI. This is the first recommendation, that the DCI now must carry proper investigation. And the reason is, Mr. Speaker, time does not run out on criminal culpability. The DCI is the one that deals with criminality. These people are working. Some have bought nice vehicles. Some have bought nice houses in West Kano. And the people can tell this man was involved in that scandal. That lady was involved in that scandal. It was our money that we saved in this revolving fund that has bought him a nice house, that has made his family to get more acreage of land, that has helped him to drive a car, and he is walking free. Mr. Speaker, something needs to be done. And we are saying and agreeing with the Senate Committee on Agriculture that the DCI must act fast, and within the 4 months that they've been given, something must be done. Mr. Speaker, I was here yesterday complaining that when people go to government agencies and nothing takes place, there's a lot of fury within the community. In Tana River County yesterday, Mr. Speaker, I was engaging the Minister for Internal Security and saying somebody was killed by KWS officers. A report was made, and then nothing is being done. Mr. Speaker, when people live in this kind of society, anger grows in them. People start hating leaders. They start hating the agencies of government. And you start wondering what is the problem, what has happened to people. But it's because of inaction. When people are making genuine complaints like this one, 86 million has gone. And the culprits are known because they were officials of this West Kano irrigation scheme. And they are just walking around. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the response that was given by EACC, they are not telling us anything. In fact, they are themselves indicted by the information that the people are putting here, that the West region just went to sleep. And one of the recommendations they have given is that this devolution of the EACC function should be relooked at so that people are able to move away from their regional offices and come directly to Nairobi and make these complaints. This is one of the recommendations that we have put in this Senate report. Mr. Speaker, something needs to be done about corruption in this country. And Mr. Speaker, we need to start doing, and I'm asking the EACC to take more seriously their responsibility as far as engaging the public in spreading the anti-corruption message. You are not going to help just by arresting people on one Friday, come with cameras and so on. We need also to take these lessons to schools. Mr. Speaker, I was growing up and we were taught in those days not to walk over grass. When I was very young and attending school, and Mr. Speaker, to date, I would never pocket or walk over grass. It's not inside me. Mr. Speaker, when you are traveling with your children and you try to take a bottle of water and throw it through the wind, they will not allow you. Why? Because they were taught in school that you should not pollute the environment. But when it comes to anti-corruption message, Mr. Speaker, the current generation is like the end justifies the means. Why? Because this is not taught in any school, Mr. Speaker. The schools we are bringing up are people who just do whatever you can to get rich as early as possible and retire by the time you are 40 and travel the world. How you do it, nobody cares, because that is what we have taught them. Mr. Speaker, EACC needs to be serious. These regional offices, like the Western region, they should not just sit there and create failure like they have in these particular incidents. You know, bringing a shame to a whole institution because of your failure to act. They should be proactive. And I'm not talking even just that region alone. Across all these regional offices, what does it take just to visit schools? How much effort is it within the town you are living in to just spend 30 minutes visiting shules and telling people that we need to do something more? That Kenyans need to grow up a generation of people who will reject corruption, who will want to earn honest living. But they won't do it. They will sit in their offices, farmers will bring in their complaints, and instead of working to solve these problems, they will collude with those people who now have in possession their money and not help the cause for which they were employed to do. Mr. Speaker, this Senate calls out the EACC, and I have said before and I will say it again, even in the Senate Public Accounts Committee. Mr. Speaker, we call governors and they come before us and the Senate Public Accounts Committee. And then, Mr. Speaker, you find clear evidence of misappropriation of funds. The EACC is seated there. They are there taking notes and, of course, allowances for attending Senate committees. But, Mr. Speaker, after that, you hear nothing. No action has been taken. Nothing has been done. So people, they have started to normalize corruption. So EACC needs to pull up its socks. And pulling up its socks is not just arrest. You need to be proactive. You need to, like when farmers complain like this, what was wrong with that officer? Why couldn't he move from his Western region office to go and sit with the farmers, call a meeting, hear them out? Why are people taking government offices and then they don't want to talk to people? They become big. They roll up the windows up their vehicles, tinted windows. They get security. They don't talk to them. They don't even walk. And you know, it is terrible. And these are government officers. And you are not even elected, so you can't be worried that maybe people will stop you and ask you this and that. You are an officer of ethics and anti-corruption. You are a county commissioner or you are a DCC. Why this thing of avoiding people and this big man syndrome? Why can people take these positions and actually serve people? Mr. Speaker, I fully support the submissions by this Committee of Agriculture, and we pray that the EACC is sitting where they are sitting. They listen to us and do something more. And I want to again congratulate Mr. Patrick Odindo for taking up this matter. And may these recommendations be carried out as fast as possible. And we want the DCI now to focus on who stole the money. The evidence is still there. They go and catch these people. And Mr. Speaker, this will put a rest to the problems that the West Kano irrigation scheme has been experiencing for so many years. With those many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to support the report of the Senate Agriculture Committee. Thank you.
Next is Senator Ndani Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute on this very important matter. Mr. Speaker, at that particular moment, I was a member of the Agriculture Committee, and when this matter came, it was a very serious matter. I want to give my thanks to Professor Nyang' Nyong'o, the governor for Kisumu. When we invited him to come and share his insights, he came, and he did not support this corruption issue. In fact, he wanted it investigated. He was very disappointed. These monies had come from the Japanese government. The Japanese government even provided tractors and all the equipment which could make sure that rice growing will thrive in Kano. And then there were cooperatives, very well organized cooperatives, but highly frustrated by individuals when it came to this. And some of the accused people, when they were brought before us, Mr. Speaker, they pretended that they cannot even speak Kiswahili. They can only speak Dholuo, and we have to translate and waste a lot of time, and you could see clearly these were the thieves, and they were pretending. Mr. Speaker, my big disappointment go to ESCC when they came to preside over this matter. They were the ones who were to investigate. They were the ones who were to recover the money, and they really looked very uncooperative to the committee, looked like they do not know. In fact, it is around that time when some people were trying to amend the law to remove the chair of ESCC. You know, the chair of ESCC is a very forthright gentleman. His track record known, as presided over money funds over a long time and many projects, and as an architect they have been successful. And to be one of the most honest people I can trust in that commission, the moment you do the chair of ESCC, maybe the CEO, below that, everybody was frustrated the fight against corruption in this particular case, and it was very frustrating even as a committee. Having invited ESCC, they were uncooperative, and you could see, the Honorable Mudigi was there, you could see ESCC was really defeating the ends of fighting corruption. And I knew to myself, and I say one day, we shall overcome as a country. Because if you have an ESCC, which first of all has its own fights, and then secondly, when there is such a serious glaring corruption case of money donated by the Japanese government, even where, you know, if you mishandle this, you are telling other agencies not to help our farmers. You are telling other people not to make donations to Kenya. You are telling other countries, you know, that we have no structures to protect money. And similarly was the National Irrigation Authority. Very frustrating. In fact, the National Irrigation Authority behaved similarly to the ESCC. You may have a good chairman, good CEO, but the rest of the employees are really squandering, going to collude, becoming part of the scheme to steal from Kenyans and to steal from international funders who are very sympathetic with our case. And the worst of it was KCB, the KCB Bank. You know, KCB Bank should thoroughly be investigated. As a bank, you cannot allow proceeds of theft of public resources to be hidden in your bank, to be channeled through your bank. And the bank managers and the people who dealt with that, you could see clearly from the evidence adduced, they were aiding the thieves. And I want to say also, although my friend Senator Cheregai has said we should probably court-martial these people or sentence them to death by shooting at Uhuru Park, I want to tell him that unfortunately we then need to amend the Constitution of Kenya to bring in, death sentence, the back. And then, what I think is best, and now that I'm in JILAC, and I'm sure, and yours truly, the Speaker, is the chair of JILAC, we really need to strengthen and relook at the ESCC Act and even the law punishing those who have stolen from public funds, to bring them to life sentence, and even strengthen the mechanism of recovering public stolen money. Because this was a very embarrassing case. Even the Japanese embassy used to come and follow the proceedings and get frustrated too. And we must prove to the world that Kenyans are not thieves. Even in our own traditional settings, a Mkamba or a Kalenjin or a Luo, or even from Embu, or even Mbere, they never encourage stealing of any public property or anybody's property. The custom was that if you steal, you are going to be followed by a lot of evil things and you will not get far with it. But unfortunately, through the colonialism, we have learned to be thieves, to be corrupt, and to loot public funds. And therefore, we must be very serious, and our recommendation must be taken seriously by the DCI. I hope the DCI is not going to behave like ESCC. I hope the DCI investigators are not going to be compromised. I'm sure those people who stole that money and those who bought those cars have now become broke, because you will never benefit from stolen funds. And I'm sure now they have no money to bribe or compromise anybody. They should be followed. We must bring back the dignity of cooperatives in this country. This cooperative was really frustrated. We must embrace good practices of taking care of public money, taking care of public property like the tractors. The spare parts of the tractors would be exchanged with all spare parts of private owned tractors. And then the one for the cooperative would be grounded, and it is funded, and it has been donated by the Japanese government. So we want to give confidence to the Japanese government and any other government in the world, including America, who want to work with us, that when money comes here, donor funds, then we will end up, better. And I'm very sure there are very many donor funding agencies who want to work with the ESCC, who want to work with the Cohesion Commission, who want to work with so many other commissions which structure, better management of public funds, so that we can have a culture of protecting public funds. So, and really, lastly, want to see that whatever has been stolen should be recovered. These people should go to jail, and so that they can serve an example to other Kenyans, and especially from the Kano irrigation scheme, so that as Professor Anyang did when he came to this, justice can be found, and that Mr. Patrick Odinda be decorated for an effort to fight corruption in this country. Mr. Speaker, I do support and thank you for giving me an opportunity to contribute on this very important matter.
Thank you, Senator Manzo. And indeed, to confirm, most of donor-funded projects actually collapse on the basis not of the donor funds coming in, but on the basis of corruption, that the entities locally working together do not support and do not fully utilize those resources, especially in our counties where we see a lot of such donor-funded projects stalling and ultimately collapsing, leading to future denials of such support. Thank you, Senator Manzo. Now we will allow Senator Mundigi Alex to also contribute.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipa ruhusa niweze kuchangia mambo ya mchele West Kano irrigation scheme katika kaunti ya Kisumu, na pia nashukuru watu wa Kisumu wa West Kano, na pia nashukuru mtu alikuwa anaitwa Patrick Ochieng ambaye hakujali maisha yake na hakujali mambo ya dunia itatokea namna gani, Bwana Spika. Kwa sababu nikitaka kusema mambo ya binadamu katika ulimwengu ama kaunti 47, chakula ya Mwafrika ni mambo ya mahindi na pia mchele na pia mwananchi ambaye ako masinani. Bwana Spika, ni kitu ilikuwa kuhusunisha sana, kwa sababu wakati tulitembea ile pahali na pia tukawa tunaita hao watu walitoka mbali, walikuwa nakuja wale wazee na kurundi na wakujali, na pia Bwana Spika walikuwa na shida nyingi, na wakati walikuwa simama pale wakitoa ushuhuda, Bwana Spika, ilikuwa kitu ya kuhusunisha, kwa sababu walikuwa wanaongea Kiluo na walikuwa ni mambo ya ajabu, kwa sababu walikuwa pia hata chakula hawakuwa nayo, lakini wakajikakamua. Bwana Spika, wakaona wakuja watoa ushuhuda vile pesa ambayo walisaidiwa kutoka huko Japani na kona zile zingine vile ilikuliwa na tapeli. Bwana Spika, mambo ya usuni ni kuwa ile eneo ya West Canal wakati mvua imenyesha, Bwana Spika, wale watu wanateseka sana, kwa sababu maji, Bwana Spika, huwa anavagiwa wote na maji, lakini wakati mvua imeisha huwa anarudi kule kulima mchele. Lakini wakati watu walitoka nchi za ng'ambo wakuja wakaona vile wameteseka, Bwana Spika, na wakapatiwa hela na wakaanza kulima mchele na pia wakapatiwa machini ya kulima, lakini watu wengine matapeli, Bwana Spika, waliona ni vizuri kukula ile pesa zote. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, yangu ni kusema Kenya imekuwa na shida nyingi sana. Ukienda mambo, nikikumbuka jana Bwana Spika, mimi mwenyekiti mdogo wa kamati ya agriculture, na pia jana tulikuwa naongea vile katika kaunti yako vile watu walipatiwa mahindi, wakapanda mahindi ambayo ilikuwa mzuri, na pia ukawa hakuna dawa ya kupiga ile dawa, na ikawa Bwana Spika watu wale wanalima mahindi, ikawa ile kaunti yako ikawa wanafuna mahindi ili haiwezi kutosha, na ikawa mahindi iko na wandundu. Bwana Spika, sio mambo ya kilimo peke yake. Katika kaunti nyingi imekuwa na shida hapa na pale, kwa sababu watu wengi watu wakipatiwa kazi, Bwana Spika, wamekuwa angalie mambo ya kazi, wafikirie sira ile walikula, wanafikiria sinda zao na familia yao, vile watakuwa na magari kubwa, vile watakuwa masamba kubwa, na vile watakuwa na matumbo kubwa, na vile watatembea wakiona kama wataishi dunia hii. Bwana Spika, Bwana Spika, mambo ya investigation, wale walikuwa wanafanya investigation mambo ya watu anti corruption, Bwana Spika, ningependa kuangalia sheria vizuri. Yenda ikawa Bwana Spika sheria anti corruption haijafuatiliwa njia ile inafaa, ndio wakati mwingine vitu kama hizi isiweze kufanyika. Na tumeangalia, tumeshuhudia department nyingi walimu wakiritaya. Unakuta kama leo nikiwa mwenye kamati walepa, tulikuwa naongea walimu ambaye ni professors TVET na wale wengine, wakati waliritaya pesa zao, Bwana Spika, wakupata ile pesa walikuwa pesa ya useni. Kwa hivyo naomba Bwana Spika mambo mingi iweze kuangaliwa kuonekana itaendelea namna gani. Bwana Spika, wakati huu wa serikali ya Kenya Kwanza tumeona mambo mengi kifanyika, mambo ya National Hospital Insurance Fund, mambo ya SHA. Tumeona hata juzi tukiona watu wengine wamekataa kulipa ndeni kaunti zetu, wakati wameitishwa hela na Kenya Power. Hawakukumbuka kama kuna binadamu alikuwa anaweza kupitia ile parapara. Hawakufikiria kama kuna binadamu mambo ya masingara. Hawakufikiria kama kunaweza kuwa na kipindupindu. Wakaenda wakaweka takataka na wakavunga parapara, na ni wale wanavaa waangalie usafi katika kaunti zetu. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, mambo mingi inaendelea kufanyika. Sio kaunti ya Nairobi peke yake, ni kaunti nyingi. Yende ikawa ule mtu anaumia ni mwananchi ambaye ako vijijini, ako na janga njaa, ako na maji ya kunywa hakuna, stima unakuta iko na shinda. Ningeomba Bwana Spika mambo mingi yaweze kuangaliwa, ndio mwananchi ambaye analipa ushuru aweze kuangaliwa mambo ya afya, mambo ya elimu, mambo ya agriculture, mambo ya barabara. Na hiyo mambo yote, kama tunataka serikali ya Kenya Kwanza iweze kufanya kazi nzuri, mpaka kuangaliwe tulitupa njia, tukienda ni wapi tulipotesha, ndio tuweze kurudi kwa laini, ndio tuweze kujua mwananchi ambaye yule ako na pesa na yule ana pesa, sisi yote mbele ya macho ya Mwenyezi Mungu tuko kitu kimoja. Bwana Spika, nataka nikumbushe watu wa Kenya, Biblia inasema watu wawili wawezi kutembea pamoja, Bwana Spika, bila kuelewanwa ama bila kusemesana. Ningeomba sisi wakati wa serikali ya muungano ambayo inaongozwa na ambaye rais wetu Mr. Ruto Abraham na pia Profesa Abraham Kithure, ambayo wanatuonyesha njia ya umoja, tuweze kuwashikilia na mambo ya kufanya kazi pamoja. Wakati huu tuko na amani. Bwana Spika, tumeona mambo mengi, hata wizi wa masamba, wizi wa magari, mambo ya kupigana senga. Hiyo mambo yote kama hatuyasimiani, hatutaweza kutembea pamoja. Bwana Spika, wakati huwa tunatembea nje, public participation, nakumbuka miezi 2 tulitembea kule nchi ya Tanzania, na watu, Bwana Spika, kama wanaweza ukaa kama nchi ya Tanzania vile wanakaa na umoja, ama zile zingine, Bwana Spika, tunaweza ukaa pamoja. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, naomba hii mjadala tunazungumzia uweze kuangaliwa, hao watu wawezekana waweze kuonekana vile pesa itapatikana, na tuweze kuona vile wasungu wataweza kuja kufanya ile kazi, kwa sababu mpaka trakta ni mzee. Hata watu wengine wale wasungu walisema watapeana pesa zingine, na nataka kusema hii ni pesa ambaye ni pesa serikali italipa hii pesa ikiwa wamekopeshwa. Pia Bwana Spika, tumeona mambo ya pesa ambaye hata mambo ya sukari, mambo ya kahawa, mambo ya majani, watu wengi wakilia serikali, Bwana Spika, waweze kulipua zile ndeni. Kwa hivyo ni kumaanisha kama tutaendelea na hiyo barabara na hiyo njia, hata tukipatiwa msaada na mnagani na hizo ngambo, ama serikali ikilipa ikikata ushuru kwa mwananchi na mnagani bila kufuatilia mambo ya accountability, itakuwa sisi tutarudi nyuma miaka ingine mbali sana. Bwana Spika, kuna mambo kama tunaweza accountability inaweza kuangaliwa. Agenda yetu ya Kenya ni mambo ya agriculture, mwananchi aweze kupata maji ya irrigation, mwananchi apate maji ya damu, na pia unakuta mambo mingi yaweze kufanyika, na pia elimu ya kutosha na barabara na mambo ya afya. Kama kungekuwa hakuna wizi, Bwana Spika, unao kama sasa nakumbuka miezi 2, Bwana Spika, nchi ya ngambo ilisema itapeana ile msaada ya kununua dawa ya kansa ama ya AIDS, na hiyo mambo yote kama accountability ingekuwa inaangaliwa, Bwana Spika, tungekuwa tunaenda barabara mzuri. Saa hii tulikuwa tumeshimamisha. Unaona saa hii waheshimiwa wengi masinani, Bwana Spika, njuu pesa imekuliwa na matapeli, ndio naona ugonjwa wa kansa imeleta shinda. Watu wengi sisi tukienda masinani, watu wengi wamevirishika, watu wengi ni mambo ya hospitali, mashamba imeuswa, title deeds imeshukuliwa na benki na mahospitali juu ya ile ndeni tuko nayo katika mahospitalini. Kwa hiyo kama mambo ya accountability ingekuwa inaangaliwa, mambo ya ugonjwa wa kansa hatungekuwa tunapata ile shinda tunapata. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, mimi nikiwa mwenyekiti mdogo wa kamati wa agriculture, mambo tulisema DCI aweze kufanya investigation, au watu waweze kupelekwa kotini na ukweli ujulikane. Nikimalizia Bwana Spika, sio mambo ya West Kano peke yake, ni department nyingi. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, mimi naunga mkono hii ripoti ambaye ni ya West Kano. Asante Bwana Spika, ni mimi Central Embu County Dr. Alexander Munyimundige. Asante Bwana Spika.
Thank you very much, Senator Alex Mundige. Senator Julius Mugar.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to also add my views to those of my colleagues. I would like to thank the Committee of Agriculture for taking the initiative to visit and see what is going on there, according to the petition that Mr. Ochieng made to the committee. It is sad, Mr. Speaker, that these days it seems like corruption is an automatic DNA of our systems in Kenya, such that people boldly take advantage, especially of either the less to do or less fortunate, if there are people that are supposed to be helping others, maybe they have a government position or something like that, instead of being a helper to those that they actually have authority over, they take advantage of them. I've seen that especially coming from Pokot society, a society that is the high percentage is illiterate. A lot of people take advantage of them. Right now, there is a lot of mushrooming of gold in Pokot, and a lot of people, even their own county government, is taking advantage of them. Instead of helping them to benefit and gain from what is available on their ground, they become the ones that are taking advantage of those that they have authority over. And so this case of Kano is not isolated. It is not one alone in Kisumu area. It's all over Kenya and all over the country. And so it is something that we do not know, like our colleague Cherargei said, we do not know who should be in charge of who should arrest who should caution who when it comes to corruption. And these farmers in Kano Plains lost a lot of money, and therefore they have a lot of things that were lost. Their children probably never went to school because of that situation. Some of them probably in the course of that situation lost their loved ones because they could not afford treating them or taking them to hospitals, and so many losses that they must have experienced. And therefore, caused by those that are supposed or are put to be in charge and trusted by the members of this farmer society or group of people. And so this also is a lesson to other groups like farmers groups elsewhere, that there should be a lot of scrutiny and carefulness when it comes to electing people that are put in charge, because these are people that the members trusted and entrusted a lot of their values and valuables into their hands. But instead of taking care of them, they became the looters that looted and brought this farmer society to zero, giving them or putting them into a lot of losses. And then also, these days, it is even said that a lot of corruption culprits take cash now in bags in their vehicles, so that when EACC people want to arrest them or questioning them, they are just given cash, and they look to the other side instead of looking at the malpractices and the mistakes made and all that. So they look to the other side so that they give a clean plate to a corrupt person and just say he's clean. And therefore, this thing will be with us unless we find another system, not EACC. EACC is no longer effective. EACC is no longer sensitive about corruption. Instead, they have become compromised and numb, such that they have no feeling about corruption. So unless there is another system that we will look up to so that this thing can be brought down. These days, a lot of the stolen money are put into buildings, put into farms that people take and buy buildings and buy farms and buy properties, and just and in that way they believe they have cleansed it, they have cleaned it so that it becomes their clean cow, and they no longer see a stolen property or stolen money. Instead, they think it is an earning that is worth being proud of and looking at it being with them. And then in this process of stealing, especially stealing money and machines and all that that came through donation, Mr. Speaker, you can be sure that such a group of people that donated such money will not be encouraged to do another, either there or elsewhere in Kenya. They will be disappointed and they will probably walk away from our country. And that puts us into a lot of shame because when such an investment is made, people who donated give reports, and they are proud that they did something to alleviate poverty situation and so on, but only to find that it was looted by the same people who are supposed to be taking care of it on behalf of the people. And so we will be repulsing or chasing donors away by this practice. And so, needless to say, even the members of such a group, such as the Kano Plain farmers and the general public, will apportion blames on leaders like us and even the government, that the government is not taking care of them. Look, a few people have stolen our things and they are just walking free, and blame police, blame everybody because somebody just did wrong things to them. And therefore, we all get a portion of blames because of a few individuals and a few officers that were supposed to be helping correct situations and so on. And therefore, that is why we get shortages of food and also sabotaged economical activities that no longer work because a few of us have stolen, and therefore it just collapses the whole thing. Talk of many corporations and irrigation systems and many others. And therefore, it is my view that we should get another system that will be effective. I support.
Senator Joe Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. And I rise also to support this petition by one Mr. Patrick Ochieng Odindo on corruption at West Kano irrigation scheme. And Mr. Speaker, I want to commend this particular gentleman because he has done other research even at the time and before he came presenting this particular petition to the Senate, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Odindo Ochieng was able to identify the funds that have been pilfered or misappropriated, if not embezzled, Mr. Speaker, by those that run this particular irrigation scheme. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chieng Odindo talked about a revolving fund that the government funded at one point in time, disbursing about 86 million that cannot be accounted for, Mr. Speaker. There's also that machineries and accessories aid by the government of Kenya and the government of the Republic of Japan. He also was able to talk about a rice sales fund and many other funds, Mr. Speaker, that the management of this particular irrigation scheme cannot account for. Mr. Speaker, the EACC also stands accused in this petition, in this particular petition, by Mr. Chieng Odindo. Mr. Speaker, when we look at this particular petition, any Kenyan of goodwill, any Kenyan who values this country must raise a voice and say no to corruption. Because there is no way all these funds are not accounted for, Mr. Speaker, and we cannot be able to separate this and say that this is not corruption. It is corruption, Mr. Speaker. And that is why we have to look at this matter, this petition, in a very broad way, because corruption, Mr. Speaker, is a cancer that continues eating up the sectors of government, state corporations, and many other areas, and therefore rendering services to that poor Kenyan, Mr. Speaker, unavailable. And that is why we must stand, and especially this committee that is tasked with this particular matter, Mr. Speaker, to unearth all corruption in this particular scheme, so that anybody tomorrow or in the future who is given a responsibility to oversee appropriate use of public funds, Mr. Speaker, does exactly that. Mr. Speaker, we have very many incidences of corruption. And the most recent, Mr. Speaker, is the Social Health Authority, SHA. Mr. Speaker, as we look at this petition, Mr. Speaker, we must also talk about the concerns expressed by the Auditor General of the Republic of Kenya, in that there has been a lot of corruption, that the system at SHA, Mr. Speaker, is privately owned and not run by government, by individuals who take away 2.5% of the contributions that are made. Mr. Speaker, these are things we should not allow in our country. Otherwise, Kenyans will continue suffering because of people taking advantage of gaps in systems and using the same, Mr. Speaker, to take away funds meant for public good and take them to their private use, Mr. Speaker. And so, Mr. Speaker, as we look at this thing, at this petition, we must all ask ourselves, what are we going to do? Because the Attorney General is very particular, that has ends at the point where she lays bare the fact and the appropriation of public funds, that the rest lies with Parliament, Mr. Speaker. And that is why we must, as a House, know and come up with ways and means of making sure that the rot that is exposed by the Auditor General and other agencies like the control of budget, Mr. Speaker, action is taken against anybody that does not do what is supposed to be done as per the law and as per the public finance management, Mr. Speaker. And so this petition should open up our eyes, and Mr. Speaker, we must take very stern action against those that will be found to have taken advantage and misappropriated or embezzled the funds that were availed to West Kano irrigation scheme. Mr. Speaker, the other thing that we should ask ourselves, there is a lot of money that is sent to state corporations. The government keeps bailing out state corporations that operate at a loss all the time. And Mr. Speaker, when we talk about that, Kenya Airways comes to mind. That until last year, successive governments have been bailing out Kenya Airways, which has been operating at a loss all these years. We must ask ourselves, before we bail out any particular state corporation, we must do a thorough assessment of the application of funds and corporate governance. We must ask ourselves whether any particular state agency or corporation has exercised good corporate governance before we avail public resources to such organizations. And I say this because looking at this petition that was brought by Mr. Ochieng, Mr. Speaker, there are very many government funds that have been placed in the hands of the managers of that particular irrigation scheme that have been pilfered. And so, as a house, we must ask ourselves, as Kenyans, as leaders in this country, we must ask ourselves, why would we continue bailing out public institutions that run at a loss? Why are these losses coming up? Are they coming because there is corruption? We cannot continue churning out big amounts of money to organizations, Mr. Speaker, that do not want to incorporate corporate governance in their particular structures. And so, Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, I want to encourage even other Kenyans that any Kenyan that finds something inappropriate happening with a public institution, they should know that they have the liberty and they have the right to come to this house or the other house and place a petition with them in order for that matter to be looked into by the particular house, Mr. Speaker. And so I want to commend Mr. Ochieng for being a patriotic citizen that did not just sit back like many others would have done, but he got concerned and exercised his right by placing an opinion, by placing a petition in this house, Mr. Speaker. And so even as I conclude, Mr. Speaker, we must encourage Kenyans to come to this house to petition about any matter because it's their right, so that this house can look into these matters. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Nyotu, for your contribution. And now, honorable members, there being no other senator interested in contributing to this particular report, I ask the mover, Senator Wafula, to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for this opportunity to, and I beg to reply, Honorable Speaker, by thanking the members of the Committee of Agriculture for spending their time, their commitment in ensuring that we listen to the stakeholders, the petitioner, in this matter. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Secretariat for equally taking their time and to dedicate themselves to listening to this petition, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as you've heard members contribute to this petition, it is very clear that Kenyans have begun to have trust and confidence in the Senate and specifically the Committee for Agriculture, because agriculture is the backbone of the sustainability of Kenyans, Honorable Speaker. The government is pumping lots of resources into agriculture, livestock, and fisheries. And in this particular context, Honorable Speaker, it is important that the county governments and the national government employees should take seriously their work, commit themselves, and ensure there is value for money. Honorable Speaker, this story of the Kano Plain irrigation scheme is a replica of many other schemes in the country, cooperatives, Honorable Speaker, that are suffering because of poor management, corruption, tribalism, and high-handedness, Honorable Speaker. As it has been seen in the petition, Honorable Speaker, EACC has failed to up its game to listen to the cry and the plea of the people in this particular context. They took a lot of time, and here you see the committee clearly bringing out the salient issues affecting this scheme. The Cooperative Ministry, Honorable Speaker, looking at how they were handling documents, handling officials, exchanging with the officials and the complainant, Honorable Speaker, clearly shows us that in spite of the government's effort to bolden and strengthen cooperatives, Honorable Speaker, if we are not careful, we will be entrenching corruption, and people don't have the goodwill and the interest of the people in these cooperatives, and therefore it's a wake-up call to the Ministry of Cooperatives to ensure that they give the right people the opportunity to serve and flush out corrupt individuals who are hell-bent in manipulating and stifling the space of farmers and galloping their hard-earned money. Honorable Speaker, I don't want to take much of our time, but to thank honorable senators who have contributed. They have equally spoken on the will and aspirations of Kenyans. I don't want to forget, Honorable Speaker, that agriculture is devolved. And when you see Kenyans not running to the county assemblies with petitions, it means there is a problem. If these farmers cannot take their petitions to the executives of counties, there is a problem. And this is a wake-up call to other committees, Honorable Speaker, that by the time these people move to the Senate, we need to put enough attention at the monies at the devolved level. We have cherry fund, Honorable Speaker. Do we know what is happening in the cherry fund? We have lots of monies going to fisheries, Honorable Speaker. Do we know what is happening there? I want to commit as the Committee for Agriculture that we will leave no stone unturned. Now we are headed to the planting season. Subsidized fertilizer is there at a normal, known price. You will realize, as Mheshimiwa Mungatana said yesterday, people buying at 2,500 and selling to farmers at 7,500. It is immoral. You will find a county government knows very well that cereal board has 2,500 fertilizer. The county goes ahead to procure fertilizer, a bag at 6,000. This is blatant stealing of public resources. And therefore, as a committee, Honorable Speaker, we will not blink to call them out and demand that they be respectful. So, honorable senators, those of us who have contributed, Mheshimiwa Mungatana, my good friend senator from Pokot, Mheshimiwa Maanzo, and all of them, Mheshimiwa Nyutu, Mheshimiwa Daktari Mundigi, I want to appreciate your contribution, your commitment, and assure you as a committee, we will do what is necessarily possible. Finally, on the implementation and recommendations, as a committee, we will push that the implementation of these recommendations are done within the purview of the Constitution and the mandate given by the Senate to ensure that the people of this scheme get their rightful share of the taxpayers' money. Honorable Speaker, I request that you defer putting of the question to a later date pursuant to Standing Order 66.3 to allow members to have quorum and therefore be able to vote. Honorable Speaker, I beg to reply.
Senator Okolu, thank you very much. And pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 66, putting of the question to this particular report is deferred to our next sitting. And now, honorable members, for the convenience of the House, we will rearrange the order paper, and I direct that order paper number 17 be called out.
Order number 17, motion. Report of the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare on an inquiry into the welfare of workers in export processing zones, EPZs, in Mombasa and Kilifi counties.
Senator Mulgore, Chairperson of Labor Committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Article 96(1) of the Constitution mandates the Senate to represent counties and serve to protect the interests of the counties and their governments. To achieve this, the Senate, through committees, engages county governments to ascertain any emerging challenges that require readiness.
Senator Mulgore, kindly retake to properly move your motion.
Motion report of the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare on the inquiry into the welfare of workers in export processing zones, EPZs, in Mombasa and Kilifi counties. That the Senate adopts the report on Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare on inquiry into the plight of workers in the export processing zones, EPZs, in Mombasa and Kilifi counties, laid on the table of Senate on Thursday, 1st October 2024.
Tuesday, Honorable Senator, Tuesday.
Tuesday, 1st October 2024. So I
proceed.
I beg to move and ask.
Proceed. You still proceed, and you can now refer to your notes, guiding notes.
On Wednesday, 17th April 2024, Senator Mohamed Faki, MP, rose pursuant to Standing Order number 52(1) to make a statement concerning the grievances facing employees of the export processing zone countywide, and in particular the employees of Ashton Apparels Limited, Mombasa. At this meeting on Thursday, 9th May 2024, the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare considered the matter and resolved to visit Ashton Apparel Limited, Mombasa, and additionally include Bestline Garments Limited in Kilifi County. The committee first held a meeting with officials from Export Processing Zones Authority on Friday, 14th June 2024, as to gain an in-depth understanding of the sector. The committee held a total of 10 sittings on the matter. The following senators represented the committee: Senator Julius Mulgore, MP, Chairperson, Head of Delegation; Senator George Mungai Mbugua, MP, Vice Chairperson; Senator Justice Retired Mazayo, CBS MP member; Senator Mohamed Faki Muihaji, MP member, and Senator Alexander Munyi Mundiki, MP. The visit aimed to investigate on the grievances facing the employees in regard to their right and ununionized and fair hiring practices, sexual harassment, delay in issuance of employment contracts, tribalism, working conditions, long working hours, and low wages. The committee visited Ashton Apparels in Mombasa West on Wednesday, 19th June 2024, and Umoja Slippers, a local private company, and Best Line Garments, EPZ, both in Kilifi County on Thursday, 20th June 2024. Following the visit, the committee observed that EPZ is created by an act of parliament known as the EPZ Act number 12 of 1990, which provides for the establishment of export processing zones and the Export Processing Zones Authority. The EPZ has attracted physical and procedural incentives to ensure low-cost operations for export-oriented businesses. These zones are governed by EPZ authority. Those main roles include development, regulations, and administration of the zones, and is state corporation under the Ministry of Investments, Trade and Industry. Export-oriented companies operating in these zones are licensed by the EPZ authority and therefore subject to its policies and procedures. Additionally, these companies which employ Kenyan citizens as employees and also bound by Kenyan labor laws, which include the Labor Relations Act and Employment Act, the Work Injury Benefits Act, and Occupational Society and Health Act, and among others, and Article 41 of the Constitution solidifies labor relations by guaranteeing laborers various rights, including fair remuneration, safe and healthy working conditions, seasonable working conditions, participate in activities and programs of the trade union, and go on strike. The committee found out that EPZ companies visited complied with the laws of the land and paid maintain wages to their workers. However, the EPZ companies had minimal corporate social responsibility programs. The employees also complained that they were paid lower salaries, and their co-workers who performed the same task, they stated that foreigners performing similar tasks were paid higher salaries than them. In light of the above observations and findings, the committee made the following recommendations. 1, immediately establishes an export zoning zones wages council in line with Section 43 of the Labor Institutions Act Cap 234 to take care of the special categories of workers and report back to the Senate within a month of finding this report. B, reviews and publishes a wage order that is specific to export processing zones workers and report to the Senate within 6 months of finding of their report. And in the spirit of their labor and practices of equal pay for equal work done, investigate claims of EBZs saying foreigners doing similar jobs to locals in EBZ higher wages and report to the Senate within 3 months of tabling of this report. The Cabinet Secretary in charge of trade, investments, and industry ensures that the government gets the best deal for the citizens of Kenya in terms of enhanced wages. Corporate society responsibility programs and environment reclamation programs, the national government through the EBZA current that there is a favorable business environment for EBZ nationally and in the counties, and there incorporates the county governments in setting up the export processing zones to ensure that counties benefit in terms of job opportunities and infrastructure development and corporate social responsibility programs. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to thank the senators who availed themselves for this inquiry visit. Also, the Office of the Clerk of the Senate for the facilitation and ensuring the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare undertakes this mandate, thereby influencing laws and policies that will enhance the welfare of the citizens of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move and request Senator Mungatana to support.
Senator Mungatana.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to second this motion. I also want to thank the Honorable Chair for Labor, Honorable Senator Murgor, for ably moving this motion on the inquiry of the welfare of workers in the EPZ in Mombasa and Kilifi counties. Mr. Speaker, if you live in the coast early in the morning along the Malindi-Mombasa road, you will see hundreds of people walking towards these companies that have been set up as EPZs. Mr. Speaker, Ashton Apparels and the other two that were mentioned are some of the companies that you will see hundreds of wananchi walking towards those places to go and earn a living. When the Honorable Senator Faki brought this, he didn't speak because of a joke. There are serious problems that face these wananchis as they go to work, as they carry out their duties in these EPZs. And although Senator Faki complained of the EPZ in Mombasa and Kilifi counties, the problems of EPZs are similar here in Nairobi and other places where wananchis, the local people who make those garments for export sales, are harassed, are exposed to very difficult labor conditions. It is not the first time that we have had these complaints, and it will not be the end of these complaints. Mr. Speaker, we know that export processing zones and the companies that were set up, they are supposed to help boost economic activity within the country, and the idea was that we create employment for our people. Yes, but the conditions of work are very difficult in those EPZs. Mr. Speaker, I want to agree with the committee that the minister who is in charge of trade, industries, and investments in this country, he must be proactive. I'm sure the minister is listening to me where he is. This Senate is recommending that you must go and get better deals for our workers in these EPZs. Our workers are paid minimum wages. Mr. Speaker, when you see them, they are working. They cannot afford borders. They cannot afford to enter into matatus. They have literally they live bare minimum, Mr. Speaker. And to add on that, there are a lot of complaints, Mr. Speaker. Apart from the poor pay, our workers, Mr. Speaker, are exposed to sexual harassments, Mr. Speaker. Our workers are exposed to very long working hours, Mr. Speaker. And our workers are exposed to very poor pay. And some of the working conditions within those EPZs are very, very much against the labor laws of this country. Mr. Speaker, I would really urge, use this Senate floor to tell the minister to have a meeting with his officers. Can they be making special visits without notice to those EPZs so that they can check whether labor practices are being followed? Mr. Speaker, even if you are an EPZ, you are an export processing zone, the agreements that are signed are supposed to make you as a company subject to Kenya labor laws. So there is no excuse. So, Mr. Speaker, I would recommend that the Senate report be expanded so that the minister who is reading this, listening to this, and who will be served with this report must make sure that unannounced visits are carried out by labor officers into all these EPZs, not just the one in Mombasa and Kilifi counties, but these unannounced visits are the ones that bring out the true picture of what happens in those EPZs. Mr. Speaker, some of them are not even given breaks during lunch hours. Some of them have very, very long working hours, and people are left wondering, what is happening? Because we are in this same country. Mr. Speaker, this report of the Senate has found out that people who are doing the same type of duty within the companies are being paid lower. Foreigners who are coming to work in those EPZs, Mr. Speaker, are given higher salaries than the Kenyans who are working within the same outfit. Mr. Speaker, we are living in the 20th century. We are living under a new constitution, and yet our workers are being discriminated right here here in this country. And Mr. Speaker, the blame lays squarely on the doorstep of the Minister for Trade, Investment and Industry in Kenya. This cabinet secretary must move out of the office and go and see what is happening. For you to be able to advise the president what we need to do to make our workers work well. And Mr. Speaker, I'm confident that the cabinet secretary will listen to this and actually activate it. Kenya cannot be the place where our workers are being oppressed and yet our ministers are there. The labor minister, the trade minister, they should even have a special task force to go and look at our people, how they are working, and fight for them, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is good to bring the EPZs here, but it should not be a source of exploitation and pain to our people. These are the same people who we go and ask votes for. And after we ask votes for them and we form government, we forget about them, Mr. Speaker. Shame on us. When they are living in those horrid conditions, Mr. Speaker. And so I am saying, apart from these recommendations, the Minister for Labor should cooperate with the Minister for Trade. They should form joint forces to go and visit these places. Joint teams. They find out whether these EPZs are really keeping the agreements that were formed by them when they were coming into this country. Mr. Speaker, this report also says that those companies in EPZs, they don't do any corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility, Mr. Speaker, is something that it was a notion that came in recent years, but now it has become an accepted part of the norms for any corporates that are working in Kenya and even globally. Mr. Speaker, during the rainy season, these corporates, they know where their workers are staying. Most of these workers that work in these EPZs, they come from areas that are congested, areas that the roofs are leaking, areas that they are not very nicely set up. What is wrong with them? Can't they move and make a visit to some of these areas? Why can't they work with local administration to help their own workers live in better conditions? Why can't they take up paying school fees for them in boarding schools so that their children can do better in education and be better than mom and dad? Why is it that these EPZs are always given such favorable terms and they don't return anything to the communities that work for them, particularly the labor people who give all their time and money and their strength to them? Mr. Speaker, all these people are people who get sick from those long hours, from those tough working conditions within those companies. Why can't they create medical schemes for their workers? Why can't they build clinics? You will find it's a company that is making garments, but they cannot employ even a nurse to help with Panados. They just leave those people, like exploiting labor, and they don't care. Mr. Speaker, this report and this Senate is saying, can the EPZs do something about corporate social responsibility? And I highly accept and recommend that this particular issue be expedited. Mr. Speaker, moving from that, there are EPZs and their special economic zones. Under this government, Mr. Speaker, special economic zones were created. And these special economic zones, counties were meant to contribute 250 million, and the national government to give counterpart funding of equal amount so that we can set up the special economic zones. The SEZs that have been formed under this government, Mr. Speaker, they seem to be only a few that have been selected, and only a few seem to be supported. Mr. Speaker, these special economic zones have not become a reality in counties that need them the most, like the county of Tana River. Mr. Speaker, you will find that in Tana River, even a single company that is making production somewhere, they don't exist. In fact, the only companies that are existing are these large milling companies. And they mill what is coming out from the irrigation schemes. You don't have companies that are making production of anything. Therefore, we don't have employment opportunities within the industrial sector. Our government said county government should provide 250, set aside 250 million, national government to give the counterpart funding, and then to start moving in that direction to help fill in the gap that these EPZs have left. Because the EPZs, they have failed to lock in the gaps of employment opportunities for counties that are far off. They have merely focused within towns and counties that are in big cities. So, Mr. Speaker, I expected that the national government will give priorities to counties such as Tana River, so that within the first 5 years of this administration, Mr. Speaker, we will see our SEZ fully special economic zone in Tana River operational. But, Mr. Speaker, we have not seen this happening. Other counties that are already having special EPZs, export processing zones, are the same counties that are being given special economic processing zones. So, Mr. Speaker, my prayer is that we should not propagate the same discrimination against counties that are on the outer side, so that we continue with independence policies that have discriminated counties that are far off. A county such as Tana River should have been prioritized when it came to special economic zones, so that we can create conditions that will bring companies to manufacture in that area. Mr. Speaker, we have the land, we have a lot of land that we can give to those people who want to come. But the government needs to put the counterpart funding, and the government needs to encourage people to come and invest in that place. Mr. Speaker, what is happening is the special economic zone seems to be working in the same areas where the EPZs are already operational. And so, Mr. Speaker, I want to use this floor of the Senate to say that this policy of special economic zones should also be extended to counties that are far off, and they should be given priority. Mr. Speaker, with those very many remarks, I want to take this opportunity to thank the Committee of Trade for the work that they have put in, the visits they made, and the recommendations which they gave. I want to thank the Chairman for ably leading them in this endeavor. Mr. Speaker, my prayer is that the same recommendations would be effected within the period that was proposed. Mr. Speaker, you will find that the Senate does not have an implementation committee. The Senate, in its wisdom, made a decision that the committees that are engaged on matters, and these matters are raised in the floor of the Senate, are the same committees that are going to take charge and make sure that the resolutions the Senate makes are implemented. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to tell the Committee of Agriculture, and the chairman is here, to make sure that they follow on these recommendations. To make sure that if they say 4 months, they can tell Secretariat to make sure in those 4 months there's a follow-up meeting, there's a reporting mechanism, so that our recommendations as a Senate today, as we approve these reports, can be taken seriously and the relevant departments in government implement those recommendations. Mr. Speaker, with those very many remarks, I beg to second. Thank you.
Now, Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare on an inquiry into the plight of workers in the export processing zones, EPZs, in Mombasa and Kilifi counties, laid on the table of the Senate on Thursday, 1st of October, 2024. Before I allow Senator Eddy to make his contribution to this particular report, for the benefit of Senator Mongatana, you have raised something as you were concluding on your contribution on the absence of the implementation committee in the Senate. Yesterday, in the course of the sittings of the liaison committee, that issue was brought up, and a recommendation was made to the effect that the liaison committee, particularly because it's got members or rather chairpersons on all the committees, should look into a possibility of amending the standing order so that it becomes a liaison as well as an implementation committee, because we'll be having recommendations from across the rest of the committees in the House. And I hope and believe that even before we get there, the chairperson of the committee relevant to this particular report, who is present in the House, will look into a follow-up to ensure the implementation, or at least something that has been recommended by the committee is put into action by the relevant government agencies and departments. But again, we look forward to the liaison committee being indeed fully an implementation committee so that we get into action the recommendations. Now, honorable members, I'll call upon Senator Eddy to contribute to this particular report.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for giving me this opportunity to chime into this report that I find to be very comprehensive. Mr. Speaker, as more perceptive as you might know, is that export processing zones anywhere in the world, and more particularly in Kenya, are zones that do employ mostly semi-skilled and sometimes unskilled laborers. And because of that, Mr. Speaker, when you look at what I would call the retail price of any commodity that is processed in these zones, if you are employing semi-skilled and unskilled labor workers, unlike skilled workers who can be able to partake and share in the retail price of goods and services that come from these kind of zones, Mr. Speaker, this is not an available option for semi-skilled and unskilled workers. And it's predominantly because, number one, these kind of workers, they don't tend to partake in what we call a salary. They will take their benefit or compensation from what would entail wages. And therefore, it is very difficult for them to get the fair share price or an equivalent price on the retail price of the final goods and services that we produce. And number two, Mr. Speaker, you will find that the semi-skilled and unskilled workers, the biggest benefit that then they will get is any related challenges that might come predominantly to health conditions, given the working environment that they get. And I think this is a fundamental part of why this motion was moved in the first place, that we can be able to look at these particular issues for this particular group of workers in our country. Aston Mombasa, for instance, Mr. Speaker, is among the largest employers in the export processing zones that are providing jobs for these thousands of people, Mr. Speaker. But if you look at the changes of working conditions in these kind of areas, Mr. Speaker, they are indeed wanting. I know there is argument that could come, even in some of the thoughts of this report, that the wages that we are seeing at the EPZs, Mr. Speaker, are generally within the national minimum bracket. But I think that the conversation that we should further with this report should be, should the EPZs be comfortable with giving minimum wages that we have in this country, or should we be able to stretch our thought a little bit into thinking about the living standards of the people who are exposed with the poor working conditions in these areas, and even sometimes the stress that they have with things like medication, so that up and above minimum wages that they end up earning, is there potential that as a house we could be able to look at, if not an increment that is commensurate with the kind of conditions that they work in? Is there potential for provision of some services extra by EPZs that can be able to take care, for instance, of things like healthcare provision in these areas? And in some cases, Mr. Speaker, you would find that the elements that some workers can benefit from, which I don't see in this report very strongly, are things like corporate social responsibility. Because you'll find that most of the workers that are working in these areas where there is a lot of problems due to vagaries of nature that come from the processing elements of these companies, what will happen is that the effect on on the environment or just the exposure of different pollution that come from these zones, Mr. Speaker, what will happen is that they end up affecting the children and families of, again, those unskilled and semi-skilled workers. Because the skilled workers who are working for these particular companies, Mr. Speaker, can afford to stay, one, far away from these companies, and number two, have more options to be able to live in areas that are more conducive and areas that are more, can provide some sense of better health, better environment, and even better social amenities, Mr. Speaker. So is there an opportunity that, and a wiggle room, that even as we discuss this report, we can be able to come up with some solutions that can be able to make sure that these companies are able to invest in corporate social responsibility that will be able to make sure that these families, if they're not getting the competitive wages that they need to be able to take care of the excesses of health care, environmental degradation, and other pollutions that come in place, can they be able to be supported with proper corporate social responsibility? This will be very important when you look at the mix of wages and other benefits that they can be able to get from the...
Senator Eddy, the time is up. Now, when the House resumes its sitting, Senator Eddy, you will have a balance of 14 minutes to conclude on your contribution to this particular motion. Now, Honorable Senators, it's now 6:30 p.m., time to adjourn the Senate. The Senate therefore stands adjourned until Tuesday, 11th of March, 2025 at 2:30 p.m.